project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Learn about smart betting strategies with AnyBet. Bet wisely, enjoy responsibly, and maximize your success. The temperature by AnyBet is
28 degrees Celsius in Kingston and Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, 50,000 JPS customers had their electricity disrupted due to outages caused by heavy winds today.
And the heavy winds also impacted digital service across 5 parishes.
Professor Anthony Clayton says Jamaica must redouble local efforts to stop the flow of guns into the island.
Senator Abka Fitzhenley takes Bunting to task over claim government deserves no credit for reduction in crime.
There was a slight decline in inflation for May.
In news from the rest of the world, a U.S. court-organized auction of shares Citgo Petroleum has entered its final stages.
A report has claimed that President Donald Trump plans to reject G7 statement on de-escalation of Iran-Israel conflict.
In headline sports, Reggae Boys coach Steve McLaren is encouraging fans to temper their expectation for today's Gold Cup clash against Guatemala.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, the Governor General Sir Patrick Allen has made several recommendations to a joint select committee reviewing the Integrity Commission Act. The move has raised eyebrows and ignited a debate about the role of the King's representative. Attorneys Shane Darling and Kenyatta Powell will weigh in.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, what's your reaction to the reopening of the Chinese mechanic shop? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says all hope isn't lost after a recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling dismissed Mexico's lawsuit against American gun manufacturers. What else can be done to stem the illegal flow of weapons? Criminologist Dr. Jason Mackay will tell us. All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile. Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Monday afternoon, it's Monday, June 16, 2025.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. The Jamaica Public Service Company, the JPS, says approximately 20,000 of its customers are still without electricity following power outages caused by strong winds today. The winds were the result of a squall line which swept across the country. A squall line is a sudden increase in winds lasting for several minutes. It's often associated with thunderstorms. Earlier, JPS had reported that approximately 50,000 of its customers had been affected in several communities across Kingston and St. Andrews, in Catherine, Clarendon, and Manchester. JPS's Senior Vice President of Energy Delivery, Blaine Jarrett, says it's anticipated that electricity will return to most customers by midnight.
I am happy to report that we have seen great progress so far. Currently, just about 20,000 customers still remain out. These are primarily in the parishes of Kingston and St. Andrew, Trelawney, and St. Catherine. And I'm also happy to say that since our improved work on resiliency, we have seen where the grid has responded well compared to what it would have been in the past. We are happy also to report that where we are now with our repairs, we anticipate that most of our customers will be back by midnight tonight. We are pulling all the stops. Our incident command has been activated. Our crews are on the ground, and we are pulling all the stops to ensure that we bring back our customers in the shortest possible time. Most of them, as I said, will be back by midnight, and we will provide updates as we progress.
The weather condition began affecting the island at about 12:15 this afternoon. Mr. Jarrett is urging members of the public to exercise caution, especially around fallen wires, and to report outages or hazards using the JPS mobile app, its website, or contact customer care.
When you have a squall, the primary exposure is the flying objects, zings and other debris that will make contact with our lines. And these are the risks that not only to the power lines, but to also our customers. So we are saying that our customers should always be mindful of that and take all necessary precaution in those circumstances.
That's Blaine Jarrett, JPS's Senior Vice President of Energy Delivery.
Meanwhile, the Met Service says the high winds due to Monday's squall line lasted up to 20 minutes. Head of the weather branch at the Met office, Rohan Brown, sought to explain what happened.
Well, there is a large area of showers and thunderstorms associated with a cumulonimbus cloud, right? And below this cumulonimbus clouds are some patches or some areas of squall-like activity moving across the island. So if you look outside, you're going to have strong windy conditions. You're going to have some pockets of rainfall. But what's occurring is a squall line that is moving offshore the southeast coast and going across sections of Kingston and St. Andrew.
Rohan Brown, head of the weather branch at the Met Service. Members of the public are being encouraged to stay indoors during the weather condition. And operations at Kingston Freeport Terminal Limited came to a halt after heavy winds from the squall toppled several containers at the wharf. The hazardous conditions prompted a temporary suspension of outdoor activities at the location. The heavy winds also lifted a section of the roof at the Norman Gardens Clinic in Kingston.
And telecommunications company Digicel says the adverse weather condition resulted in some of its sites in Trelawney, Hanover, St. James, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland temporarily going offline. In a post to its social media page a short while ago, the company says it's working with the relevant teams and authorities to prioritize restoration in the affected areas. It says customers in those areas may also experience challenges making calls and using their mobile data. Digicel says it will provide further updates as they become available.
To other news now, UWI Professor Anthony Clayton says the recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling dismissing Mexico's lawsuit against American gun manufacturers is more evidence that Jamaica must redouble local efforts to stop the flow of guns into the island.
So the recent court ruling in the U.S. doesn't provide any grounds for optimism that we're going to be able to shut off the flow of weapons coming in. Our only recourse, therefore, is to do more of what we're doing now, which is to improve intelligence-led policing, invest more in scanners, in camera technology, and above all, to try to break up the organized crime networks that bring the weapons in, and to try and get further up in the networks to bring down the people who are really the major organizers behind weaponship.
In a unanimous decision, the U.S. judges ruled Mexico had not credibly proven that the manufacturers knowingly facilitated the unlawful sale of their firearms. Jamaica had joined the lawsuit, seeking to hold the manufacturers liable for the flow of the weapons into the region. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says despite the outcome of the case, Jamaica should continue to pursue other avenues to stem the flow of weapons. Professor Clayton says the combination of weak U.S. gun laws and the complications that would arise in international trade makes the situation a difficult one to solve.
What we would really prefer to do is to try to shut down the flow of inbound weapons. And that's extremely difficult to do. Only a tiny percentage, 1 at most 3% of shipping containers are searched. And the job of searching all of them would be extremely onerous. And of course, it would be a major barrier to the free movement of goods. So there would be major economic consequences if we wanted to strip and search absolutely every shipping container.
Anthony Clayton, Professor of Sustainable Development at the UWI Mona.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Holness says the recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling dismissing Mexico's lawsuit will not close the door to progress on the fight against arms trafficking in the region. Dana Davey reports.
Mexico's legal challenge, unprecedented in its scope, sought to hold American gun manufacturers accountable for the steady and deliberate flow of deadly weapons across its border. In the case known as Smith & Wesson Brands Inc. versus Estados Unidos Mexicanos, Mexico had argued that gun manufacturers are knowingly aiding and abetting the unlawful sale of their firearms to straw purchasers, but Dr. Holness says the outcome is not surprising. He says while it closes one avenue through which Mexico and other Latin American and Caribbean nations, Jamaica included, sought to influence the U.S. to do more to stem the flow of illicit arms throughout the region, other avenues exist. Prime Minister Holness says lasting solutions will come through bilateral collaboration, not litigation. Dr. Holness, whose doctoral thesis focused on the ways U.S. gun laws and regulations impact the illicit gun trade in Jamaica, says the same criminal networks in the Caribbean that engage in the trafficking of humans, narcotics, and other contraband that more directly impact Americans are the very ones responsible for the illicit importation of firearms from the U.S. This, he says, represents a common threat to both Caribbean countries and their northern partners. Regarding U.S. legislation, Dr. Holness says there is room for improvement. He cited steps taken to enhance federal enforcement against gun trafficking in recent years. For example, the bipartisan Safer Communities Act passed in 2022 introduced tougher penalties for straw purchases and created new trafficking offenses. More recently, the U.S. has proposed the Caribbean Arms Trafficking Causes Harm (CATCH) Act. Though not yet passed, Dr. Holness says it signals growing willingness within the U.S. Congress to curb the unintended consequences that American gun laws have on neighboring states. The CATCH Act would mandate the U.S. Department of Justice to track and report on gun trafficking to the Caribbean while strengthening enforcement cooperation within the region. He says there is also scope to expand joint operations between U.S. agencies and Jamaican law enforcement to better map trafficking networks and dismantle them from the inside out. In addition, Dr. Holness says there's value in more robust data sharing on suspicious bulk purchases, serial numbers, and interstate transfers. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
The Child Protection and Family Services Agency CPFSA is broadcasting Ananda alerts across digital platforms island-wide. This is a strategic move to widen its net in locating missing children. The move comes as 107 of the 1,011 children who went missing last year remain unaccounted for. The Ananda Alerts island-wide broadcast is a joint initiative with Intelligent Multimedia Limited, IML, and Visual Vibe, operators of Jamaica's largest networks of digital display boards. Chief Executive Officer of the CPFSA, Laurette Adams Thomas, says the partnerships will be instrumental in the crucial hours when a child goes missing.
While we are grateful that of that number, 898 children made it home safely, 6 children, unfortunately, were found deceased, and another 107 children are still missing. This joint initiative marks a powerful new chapter in how we harness digital technology to protect our nation's children. Time is very critical when a child goes missing, and these digital boards will act as immediate visual alerts in communities where every second counts.
Ananda Alerts, the official child recovery tool for high-risk missing children, are typically disseminated by the JCF and children's lobby groups. It usually includes the child's photo, their name, age, physical description, last seen information, and contact details. Mrs. Adams Thomas is calling on other companies to partner with the CPFSA in protecting the nation's children.
While we are grateful that of that number, 898 children made it home safely, 6 children, unfortunately, were found deceased, and another 107 children are still missing. This joint initiative marks a powerful new chapter in how we harness digital technology to protect our nation's children. Time is very critical when a child goes missing, and these digital boards will act as immediate visual alerts in communities where every second counts.
Laurette Adams Thomas, CEO of the CPFSA.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Annual eye examinations not only assess your vision but may be life-saving. Eye tests may detect serious health issues that go beyond your vision, including diabetes, hypertension, and some cancers. Call IQ Optical to schedule your comprehensive eye test today. The time by IQ Optical is...
It's 14 minutes after 5.
Rent-A-Kill Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rent-A-Kill Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rent-A-Kill is
28 degrees Celsius in Kingston and Montego Bay.
Looking for superior quality transportation from an international award-winning provider? Well, look no further. Choose Island Car Rentals, Jamaica's leading car rental company, setting the standard for ground transportation in Jamaica. For over 50 years, Island Car Rentals has been your trusted partner for reliable, top-quality vehicles. But we're more than just a car rental company. Need an airport transfer at any hour? Heading out of town and want to travel in style with a private chauffeur? Need a truck to rent for business or personal use? Or maybe you need a customized shuttle or tour for a large or a small group? Whatever your transportation need, Island Car Rentals has you covered. Call us today at 876-926-8012 or 876-929-5875 or visit www.islandcarrentals.com to book your next trip. Because Island people take better care of you.
Continuing the news. Chairman of the JLP's Communication Task Force, Senator Apka Fitz-Henley, is rejecting as dishonest a claim by opposition spokesman on security, Senator Peter Bunting, that the Holness administration deserves no credit for the 44% decline in murders this year. Senator Bunting made the claim recently on the political platform, and it doubled down on social media over the weekend. Colicia Wright reports.
The opposition spokesman on security wrote, "Let us be clear. The reduction in murders is not because of the JLP administration. It is in spite of them." In a statement Monday afternoon, Senator Fitz-Henley says Senator Bunting's audacious attempt at spin is unbecoming. Senator Fitz-Henley says the opposition spokesman is simply embarrassed that the PMP's repeated claim that the government does not have a crime plan is proving to be false.
Murders in Jamaica are down by over 44%. And even as the administration and the security forces continue to partner towards securing additional positive outcomes, there is this narrative being peddled by the opposition spokesman on security that the administration deserves no credit for the gains being made. That narrative is to be called out for what it is. It is disingenuous, dishonest, and unbecoming. A bit of data that is not quite widely known is that this administration of the Jamaica Labour Party has invested over $80 billion in national security. This compared to approximately $28 billion invested by the former administration. But we have done more than toss money at the problem.
Senator Fitz-Henley says the passage of laws including amendments to the Anti-Gang and Firearms Acts, along with other strategic policy initiatives, have contributed to the 44% decline in murders.
It is the Andrew Holness administration that tabled Plan Secure Jamaica in the Parliament, a first of its kind document. We have invested heavily in improving the intelligence capabilities of the security forces, significantly expanded the boots on the ground, the numbers in the JCF and the JDF, brought additional technologies to the crime fight, and we have critically passed strong laws, and we have given strong policy support to the security forces. They understand that when they come under fire from marauding gunmen, they have the support of the administration in protecting themselves and the Jamaican people in a decisive manner. Bunting can talk, but we know that the Jamaican people understand that good policies not only matter, they save lives.
He says Peter Bunting's attempt to discredit the Holness government's crime-fighting efforts is perverse.
What is most bizarre about the opposition spokesman's posture is that the perspective he advances is coming from a man who, when he was National Security Minister, murders increased cumulatively by 6%. And when murders spiraled out of control, he attended upon a platform and he sobbed that despite the best efforts of the PNP administration and the security forces, the statistics were poor. Bunting should be the last person to criticize an administration that has partnered with the security forces, supported the security forces, made the necessary strategic investments, and achieved an over 44% decline in murders.
Colicia Wright for Nationwide News.
The country's point-to-point inflation rate declined slightly at the end of May. According to data from the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, the country's point-to-point inflation rate was 5.2% for the period. This is down from the 5.3% rate recorded for the month prior. This was influenced mainly by the point-to-point inflation rates for the division's food and non-alcoholic beverages, housing, water, electricity, gas, and other restaurant and accommodation services. The rate remains within the Bank of Jamaica's target range of 4 to 6%. According to Statin, this was influenced mainly by increases in the index for the divisions of food and non-alcoholic beverages, housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels, restaurant and accommodation services.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
A U.S. court organized auction of shares in the parent company of Venezuela-owned Citgo Petroleum has entered its final stages. Bidders are submitting improved offers for the U.S. refinery, and creditors are hoping to recover a portion of the proceeds. The auction stems from an 8-year-old case that Canadian miner Crystalex initiated in Delaware against Venezuela. The court found Citgo's parent, PDV Holding, liable for Venezuela's debts and explorations. This paved the way for over a dozen other creditors to pursue compensation worth nearly $19 billion. Despite delays, the auction has progressed, especially since last year, through 2 bidding rounds.
U.S. President Donald Trump does not intend to sign the Group of Seven or G7 statement on the Iran-Israel conflict. This is according to an official who spoke with the BBC's U.S. partner, CBS News. A draft of the joint statement includes calls for de-escalation, language about monitoring Iran, and urges both sides to protect civilians. The G7 summit is underway in Canada. It's the inaugural gathering for several key leaders and the first since Trump returned to the White House.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour. JPS customers still without power caused by heavy winds today should expect electricity by midnight.
And the heavy winds also impacted digital service across 5 parishes.
Professor Anthony Clayton says Jamaica must redouble its efforts to stop the flow of guns into the island.
Senator Abka Fitzhenley takes Bunting to task over claim government deserves no credit for reduction in crime.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
Listeners, you can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Are your devices accurate? Are they calibrated? Even small errors can lead to big problems. That's why Jamaicans trust the Bureau of Standards Jamaica. From food to fuel, health to hardware, our metrology and testing division provides world-class calibration and measurement services to keep your devices precise and your business meeting global standards. Whether you're weighing goods, monitoring temperature, or relying on the accuracy of devices, we get it right every time. Our advanced equipment and experts help you move with confidence. Call 876-618-1534 or visit bsj.org.jm. The Bureau of Standards Jamaica. From lab to market, the power of precision, powering accuracy, ensuring safety.
Tired of waiting for your ride? Want safety and peace of mind on every journey? Amber On Time is here! With verified drivers, real-time vehicle tracking, and panic button with armed security response, your safety is our priority. Reliable service, easy booking, premium experience, it's all just a tap away. Download Amber On Time today!
Join Cliff Hughes online on Tuesday, June 17, 2025 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. live from the Jamaica Conference Center, Port Royal Street, downtown Kingston. The employment of over 10,000 youth in a bid to enhance the services offered by the local government sector will be the prime focus of the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development's Youth Summer Employment Program, YSEP. Hear highlights on the benefits, purpose, and structure of YSEP from special guest speaker, Prime Minister Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, and Portfolio Minister the Honorable Desmond McKenzie. That's a live broadcast of Cliff Hughes Online, Tuesday, June 17, 2025 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. live from the Jamaica Conference Center, Port Royal Street, downtown Kingston. Only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Good afternoon, with your sports report. I am Alrix Raby. We start with football, as coach of Jamaica's senior men's football team, Steve McLaren, reiterated that it will be a highly competitive match against Guatemala in their Group C CONCACAF Gold Cup encounter at the Dignity Health Tennis Center in California on Monday at 9 p.m. Jamaica time. McLaren says they take little comfort from the 3-0 win over the Guatemalans in the World Cup qualifier at the National Stadium last week.
It's going to be a difficult game. We knew that watching them previous to playing them last week, and tough opponent. We played very well in the home game and maybe caught Guatemala at a good time because they'd already qualified, made some changes, but we took advantage. We beat the team we had to beat. It will be a completely different game. That's what we expect. So it's 0-0. We have to do it all again, and as I said, tough game.
Now, this will be the sixth meeting between the countries at the Gold Cup, with Jamaica winning the previous 5 encounters. Reggae Boys Vice Captain Damien Lowe says as long as they stick to the game plan, they should come away with all 3 points.
Follow the boss's instruction. He's been doing a really good job with the coaching staff to keep us grounded and to keep us focused and to keep us sharp. I think the most important thing for us is creating a winning mentality, whether or not it's the World Cup qualifiers or the Gold Cup. Just have to go into training sessions and be competitors and push each other. So when it's game day, not saying it's easier, but it becomes easier because we've been doing the right things in training. So it's just going to be a different ballgame. We expect them to come harder, run harder, have different personnel on the field, but we just have to put our best foot forward, follow the coach's instruction, and stick together as a team, and we should be able to get 3 points.
Damien Lowe. The other 2 teams in the group, Panama and Guadeloupe, will meet in the first game at 6 p.m. LL Baker created history, becoming the first male Jamaican gymnast to secure a medal at the Senior Pan American Championships in Panama on the weekend. Jamaica's 8-member team include 4 males and 4 females. The others are Rhian Linton, Clayton Bell, Daniela Richards, Lauren Rosen, Alana Walker, Caleb Falk, and Matthew McClemont. Baker picked up the bronze on the pommel horse. He's encouraged by his improvement from his last showing at the championships.
To me, it means a lot. It means I've improved over the years because in 2023 at Pan Am Championships, I came 4th. This time I got my medal, so I'm really excited to have gone the next step up and get this.
LL Baker. Jamaica had 2 other finalists at the championships, Linton and newcomer Bell. And finally, in cricket, captain of the West Indies, Shea Hope, was beaming with pride after the Caribbean side beat Ireland by 6-2 runs in the final game of their 3-match T20 series at the Brady Ground on Sunday. The win gave the Windies a 1-0 series victory after the first 2 matches were abandoned due to rain. Evan Lewis, 91, and Hope, 51, shared in a first wicket stand of 122 to lay the foundation for the big total. Lewis belted 7 fours and 8 sixes in his 44-ball knock, while Hope slapped 4 fours and 4 sixes off 27 deliveries. Casey Carthy weighed in with an unbeaten 49 against Matthew Humphreys' 2 for 16. Hope had high praises for the batters.
It's very important, especially after the back of that English series that we had a couple of days ago. They basically give us a battering, so it's great to finish the UK tour on a high. Wonderful display from the batters today, especially Evan getting that good start. And, once he gets flowing, he's a very disruptive batter. So happy to see the guys, raising their hands in the batting group. And hopefully we can continue like that as a team.
Shay Hope. I'm Alric Swaby, and that's your sports.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade. Bosco Bell St. Mary is your newest gateway to Miami. Daily flights are available for your convenience. The temperature brought to you by the Airport Authority of Jamaica is
28 degrees Celsius in City Kingston and 28 in Montego Bay.
The name you trust to be your friend, to be a partner by your side. For generations we have been the one you trust as your financial guide. Sagicor, building trust for generations, helping hopes and dreams to grow, building our nation. Sagicor's the name you know. Sagicor.
Sagicor, celebrating 55 years.
Building trust for generations.
Get on the run with Appleton Estate this month. Dive into the history, craftsmanship, and experience a taste of Jamaican excellence. Indulge in your favorite Appleton Estate cocktails and food pairings available at participating restaurants. Or receive a complimentary Appleton 8-year-old Reserve 200 ml when you purchase a bottle of Appleton Estate's Signature Blend 750 ml while stocks last at participating outlets. Appleton Estate. Land on the extraordinary. Follow us at Appleton Estate JA to get on the run. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly.
More savings, more choices. Get active with Active Home Center. The one-stop shop for everything for your home. We have more savings, more choices, unbelievable prices. Wide selection with the latest styles. The kitchen, bathroom, right down to the tile. Buy the hottest items on spot, don't miss out. Best options under one roof, no doubt. More savings, more choices.
Visit us in store or online at www.activehomecenter.com.
We have more savings, more choices.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jack my figure dig the wall. Our Total Tools. Weed whacker figure trim the lawn. We have everything your job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, or Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston, and Lot C6 Jackson, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Make a toast to your future. The JTA Cooperative Credit Union is by your side. All educators, the best is what you deserve.
We'll keep your dreams alive.
Competitive loans to help you grow.
We'll take you higher.
Great returns on your savings. A bright future is in the making.
Build the best you with the best credit union. We are committed to serving you.
JTA Cooperative Credit Union, serving our members, impacting lives positively.
Delicious meals, poolside cocktails, right on the beach. Disconnect from your daily worries and reconnect with the one you love. There's no paradise like home. This summer, enjoy a romantic all-inclusive escape at Couples Tower Isle, Couples Sanssouci, Couples Negril, or Couples Swept Away from $295 USD per night. Take advantage of this offer today by visiting Couples Resorts at couples.com. Conditions apply.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multilink. Access every time, everywhere I go. Multilink. 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multilink. 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5 this Monday afternoon. It's time for the cover story. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. Good afternoon.
And
good afternoon, Ricardo, and good afternoon to our listeners.
Good afternoon, Sanjay. Listeners, we hope we find you well. We hope you weren't too badly affected by today's squall line. Every day I learn a new weather term. I never heard of a squall line.
Never heard that one before.
Yeah. In the cover story this afternoon, the Governor General, Sir Patrick Allen, has made recommendations to the Joint Select Committee that's reviewing the Integrity Commission Act. According to the report in one of the nation's daily newspapers, Sir Patrick expressed concern about some of the commission's processes.
This includes the process of appointing temporary staff being the same as the process to appoint permanent staff. He also reportedly took issue with the ambiguity in leadership authority at the commission. According to the article, Sir Patrick is suggesting that lawmakers create regulations under the Integrity Commission Act to clarify the processes of appointment. Well, joining us for discussion this evening, we have with us Attorney at Law Shane Dallin and also Attorney at Law Kenyatta Powell. Gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Listeners, the suggestion, the report rather, that the Governor General had made recommendations to a parliamentary committee raised some eyebrows, with some questioning whether it was inappropriate for the representative of the monarch to be having a say in the legislative process. So these two attorneys will help us, give us their views. Good afternoon, gents.
Good afternoon to you.
Kenyatta.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Sanjay and Ricardo. Good afternoon to your listeners.
Good afternoon. Shane Darling, let me start with you. Your reaction to the report?
There's validity in some of what the Governor General is saying. I've looked at it, and I've looked at the legislation, and I do find some validity in what he's saying.
Mm-hmm. And Kenyatta Powell, your initial reaction?
My initial reaction is that it was absolutely inappropriate for the Governor General to be intervening in the legislative process in this way. It's not at all part of his constitutional role. And beyond that, I found the substance of what was in the intervention to be curious at best.
So Shane, let me try to separate the two things, because you say that there is merit on the substance of what he has recommended. So let's start with the substance. Okay. What about the recommendations? Let's start with the one, for example, ambiguity in leadership authority. Did you find that it met the substantive mark?
Okay. So the first thing is that the structure of the Integrity Commission, as stated by the Governor General in the letter to Parliament, creates silos. What is meant by that is that you have an executive director of the Integrity Commission that operates in silo from the other directors. So there are 4 other directors. Those 4 directors do not report to the executive director, but they report directly to the commission, similar to the executive directors. So it's a system like a CEO. You have a head of entity reporting to a board, but then you have the directors for that same entity reporting directly to the board. It creates a silo, so the executive director cannot really control the processes below him, because the directors who are supposed to be reporting to him are reporting to the same boss that he is reporting to. So it creates a little conundrum there in terms of good administration and good governance when you have a system like that. So there is a little conundrum there, and I really don't see the rationale for it in that way.
Kenyatta, that sounds reasonable. Why would you say you find the recommendations curious?
Because I just don't see the point. I don't see the point that is being made. As I understand it, the structure of the Integrity Commission, and specifically the structure in relation to the various divisions and the directors that head those various divisions, is that you are supposed to actually have that kind of a separation in which, for instance, the division dealing with investigation is supposed to be that director, head of that division, and the people in that division are supposed to be doing their work in a sort of, I suppose you said, independent or semi-independent manner, so that once they have done their work, and then, for instance, passes it over to the division dealing with corruption prosecution, it would be for that director and that division to then bring their own independent judgment to the same matter. So so you may have an investigation. Certain evidence may have been gathered, etc., and it's passed over to the division dealing with corruption prosecution, and that division may, applying its own independent judgment, come to the conclusion that, for whatever reason, there's nothing here to recommend a prosecution. The whole thing sounds to me like much ado about nothing. But counsel, let me, if I may, in a
Yes, go ahead,
situation
Shane.
like that, you could have maladministration, where directors are allowed to do what they want to do, and the head of the entity, who is the executive director, has no control over that process in the way in which it is set up now. So the director is going directly to the commission, which is what you refer to as the board of the Integrity Commission, and so to the executive director. So what you may find, gentlemen, is a situation where the executive director, who is the head of the entity, is learning about something only when it gets to the commission, or if the commission should say to him. Although all the staff who are the directors report to him, regardless whether administratively, functionally, or operationally, you'll find an administrative issue there.
That sounds like that's a valid point, wouldn't you say?
No, but that sounds like entirely a leap to me. Because the fact that they are not reporting, quote unquote, to the executive director doesn't mean that the executive director somehow can't know or can't have the information as to what is happening.
But doesn't that assume, Kenyatta, that the directors would be inclined to share the information? Because what if you have a director who decides, I don't report to you, the law doesn't require me to share anything with you, and therefore I won't? Wouldn't it be good if it were clear that the executive director, as head of entity, should have knowledge of what's happening in the entity?
And again, I say, to what end?
For the proper governing of the body.
I remain. Here's the thing. I take the point, but I remain unconvinced. I remain unconvinced that this is something that anyone should detain themselves about.
But Kenyatta, if the executive director has the role of overseeing the daily operation, that's what Ricardo just indicated, wouldn't it be for good governance within the organization that there's a clear line of communication, there's a clear line of reporting, and the executive director is controlling the overall operation?
I still think it's much ado about nothing. Well, what it does, gentlemen, Section 29 tells you that the executive director is responsible for the day-to-day management of the entity. How can he truly be responsible for the day-to-day management of the entity if the 4 directors who are appointed reporting directly to the commission? How can he really be held responsible for the overall operation and the day-to-day management if that is the situation? I believe that is a point that should be addressed. Yes. So nothing is wrong with the comment or the suggestion that we addressed.
Yeah. There's another question, though, Shane Darling, as to whether the recommendation ought properly to come from the Governor General. Because I see concerns being raised about his constitutional role and whether he ought to insert himself into what has now become a politically charged issue. How do you see that?
Well, let me say that it is unusual for Governor General to make comments relating to the legislative process, given that the Governor General does have a role in terms of a final role in the assenting of the legislation. But the Governor General has a role in terms of the administration of the Integrity Commission. Remember that under the Integrity Commission Act, any complaint about the executive director or any director regarding discipline, it is the Governor General who would have to act in terms of commissioning a panel to look into what we call misbehavior in relation to the Integrity Commission members. Now, so the Governor General, as an overall administrator in that process, would be concerned that there may be issues or gaps that would exist in him carrying out his functions if there are silos operating. So, for example, a complaint may come to the Governor General. Usually, it would come through the executive director regarding any staff member, for example, one of the directors. What you're finding is that the executive director may not be able to give account of what the complaint is. And therefore, the Governor General is pointing out some issues that may affect his whole operation in terms of his function under the Act. Nothing is wrong with that in relation to that. But as I said, it is unusual, but nothing is strange.
We're up on a break. After the break, I want to hear you two gentlemen on whether that isn't exactly the problem, that we have this strange system of government where we're supposed to have a constitutional monarch who is supposed to be set aside from the issues, yet we vest executive power in that monarch. After the break.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
15 minutes to 6.
Burn Shack fried chicken always ready. Burn Shack, original crispy. Burn Shack, Cajun spicy. Burn Shack, a barbecue. Burn Shack, we are go a Burn Shack.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken in Kingston, Montego Bay and Ochivios is
28 degrees Celsius here in Kingston. It's also 28 out west in Montego Bay.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales for a better choice in the electrical business.
The loan frenzy is on with Infinity Co-op Credit Union's Fund Your Possibilities loan promotion with zero to low processing fees, up to 240 months to repay, and competitive interest rates. You can borrow using a secured or unsecured loan to fund your dreams. Dream it, fund it, live it with Infinity, where possibilities are endless. Visit infinitycuja.com or call 876-926-6973 for more details. Conditions apply.
And now, for a special message on the JCF Transformations Expo 2.0 by Deputy Commissioner Karina Powell-Hood.
We've been planning for months, and now we're ready to share more of the essence of who we are. At the JCF Transformations People, Quality and Technology Expo 2.0, coming June 19 to 22nd at the National Arena in Kingston and at the Montego Bay Community College. Come, see, experience what you've been hearing about your transforming police force.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. We're discussing the rare move by the Governor General to make recommendations to a committee of Parliament reviewing the Integrity Commission Act. We have with us attorney Shane Darling. Attorney Kenyatta Powell is also with us. Before the break, Shane Darling made the point that he believed that the Governor General, because he would have a role in certain matters related, for example, discipline related to officers of the Integrity Commission, then he thought it might, though rare, be appropriate. And as I listened to Shane Darling, Kenyatta Powell, I thought, isn't that exactly the problem? That we have created this sort of hybrid creature where he's vested with executive authority acting on behalf of the monarch, but the convention says he ought not properly to interfere in these matters. Can the two things reside in the same body or the same office properly?
Well, let me first address some something that Council said, and it will lead into my general point. I don't think that the Governor General being vested with certain authority in terms of receiving complaints and taking disciplinary action in relation to officers of the Integrity Commission means that somehow gives the Governor General whose functions, right, are tightly prescribed in the Constitution. That doesn't mean the Governor General is somehow then at liberty to be inserting himself, because this is what he has done, inserted himself by his office in the part of the legislative process, right? That the Constitution gives him absolutely no authority at all. The Governor General's sole authority in relation to legislation has to do with what comes at the end. And I believe the relevant section is section 60, subsection 3 of the Constitution, which says that after a bill has been passed in the manner prescribed in the Constitution, the Governor General shall indicate if he assents in the monarch's name or if he does not. And that comes at the very and that comes at the very end of the legislative process. So for me, I don't just find the intervention unusual, and it is. I find it to be offensive in the extreme, because we are talking about the local representative of a foreign non-Jamaican monarch. And I think that it is right and proper that such a person must remain tightly within his or her constitutional limits. And those limits are that where specific legislation does not confer a discretion on the Governor General to act in his or her own stead, the Governor General exercising executive authority on behalf of, again, our non-Jamaican foreign monarch, can only do so upon the advice or recommendation, etc., of either the Prime Minister, the Minister's Cabinet, some commission, etc. And the Constitution is pretty clear about this. I believe you can find that around section 32, I believe, of the Constitution, that outlines how the Governor General is to exercise his executive power. He's exercising on behalf of the monarch. So that yes, Ricardo. What I would say is this, and this is something I have said publicly before. A lot of our constitutional arrangements have absurdity written into them, right? Because we are a modern, we claim to be a modern independent country, mostly populated by the descendants of enslaved Africans, yet our head of state is an Anglo-German British monarch. That's crazy.
I want Shendalin to pick up on a point that Kenyatta just raised, the structures which govern how the Governor General should act. It's very clear. Could this move by the Governor General be viewed as a breach of the expected neutrality of the office of which he holds?
Okay, let me be clear on it. So the point that Council made, when you're looking at the Constitution, you can't stop there. You have to go further. Because the Constitution also tells you that Parliament can make laws in keeping with the Constitution, as long as it does not violate the Constitution. Now, so the Parliament made laws giving the Governor General certain responsibilities. So, for example, I'm sticking with the Integrity Commission Act here. They give the Governor General the power to appoint directors and the executive director of the Integrity Commission. The Governor General raises the point that he became aware of one acting appointment of a director through letters from Parliament. And it is in the legislation that the Governor General has the power to make appointment as well as acting appointment, save and except under Section 30, subsection 8 of the Integrity Commission Act, where the appointment is the acting appointment is being made only for 3 months. Anything outside of 3 months, it is the Governor General's role to appoint somebody acting. Now, the Governor General is saying there is something awkward in this because subsection 30, subsection 8 runs counter to Section 35-36 of the Interpretation Act that states that he who has the power to appoint has the power to make acting appointment also. So Section 30, subsection 8 of the Integrity Commission Act gives a specific acting appointment, but only for 3 months. It is untidy because after the 3 months acting appointment of Mr. Lawrence, it is the Governor General who must now step in to make further acting appointment. And
but Shane Darling, isn't it the case though? Shane Darling, just stick a pin right there, because the Governor General does not act independently when appointing persons to the commission. So
no.
And if he does not act, someone is recommended to him and he does the appointment. Isn't that his ceremonial role that he's performing?
Yes, but I don't think that's what the Governor General is objecting to. The Governor General is saying that the arrangements are untidy in how we are doing it, and it is correct. It is either you're going to give the commission the power deliberately to appoint a person acting when there's a vacancy, or you're going to
which is what Section 30, subsection 8 does.
No, but what I'm saying to you, Section
it gives it
30, subsection.
No man.
Hold on. Let's Shane finish the point and he communicate.
What I'm saying to you is that what he's pointing out is the untidy nature of it. What I'm saying, Section 30, subsection 8 gives the Integrity Commission the power to appoint without the Governor General's involvement an acting person, but only for 3 months. If it goes over 1 day than the 3 months, the Governor General has to come in. So what we are saying here is either you leave it to the Governor General to make the acting appointment, which will go on until the vacancy is filled, or you give the Integrity Commission that power to appoint someone acting until the vacancy is filled. What you have is a limited appointment under Section 30, subsection 8 for 3 months, and then you revert back to Governor General. That's what they're pointing out here.
Kenyatta?
No. Again. And I said this before. Seems that much ado about nothing. And I'll tell you why. It is clear, and whenever I hear counsel say that something is untidy, I don't know what that means in terms of law and legalities. No, hold on. No, man, I don't know what that means let me finish. Don't know what that means in terms of questions about legality. So, it is clear that what Section 30, subsection 8 is, right, is to give the Commission a specific power to make an acting appointment for a limited period of time, i.e. 3 months, 90 days. I am not sure why it is that should be a problem. Not sure why that should be a problem, except that counsel says it's untidy, and he says it's untidy because if it goes over for more than a day over the 90 days, then the Governor General has to step in. But even that formulation is not quite true, because again, in terms of the appointment of the directors, the Governor General does not have an independent authority to act. He must act on the recommendation of the Commission. So that, again, I am not sure what that discussion is. I'm not sure what that discussion is about.
Yes, but
hold on. Let me finish, counsel. Or what it is meant to accomplish. As far as I'm concerned, it seems perfectly reasonable. It seems perfectly reasonable to me that Parliament creates this lex specialis of Section 30, subsection 8, and gives the Commission the power to fill a vacancy. And to fill that vacancy, and to fill that vacancy for a limited period of time.
Let's
give Shane Darling the last point.
Running out of time, Shane Darling.
Let me show you why I say it's inappropriate and untidy and for good administration. In relation to the executive director, they said legislation does not give the commission that power to appoint someone in the acting post for executive director. Hold on, no, council, yes, hold on. No, that's what we're pointing out. If you're going to have a system that is running smoothly, this upscotching around the process is untidy. And I'm saying to you, in relation to a director, it gives the commission the power for a 3-month acting appointment and reverse to the Governor General on the recommendation, of course, of the commission after 3 months. In relation to the executive director's vacancy, it is directly to the Governor General that the commission must go immediately for an acting appointment. And so what they're pointing out is that it could go very smooth in terms of setting up the legislation in a structured manner in which the operations of the entity is not disrupted by this untidy nature and the confusion that takes place.
Yeah.
There's no confusion.
Gentlemen, we are out of time.
For acting appointments dealing with the directors and the executive director. It seems perfectly logical to me for those all over the place.
We're out of time. Shane Darling, Kenyatta Powell, thank you so much. We should tell the listeners, it doesn't appear the parliamentary committee took up the Governor General's recommendations. I watched both days and I actually did not hear them deal with those recommendations from His Excellency. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Save fast and accepted in more locations.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6:01.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Norige Banton. The Jamaica Public Service JPS says approximately 20,000 of its customers are without electricity following power outages caused by strong winds on Monday. The winds were the result of a squall line which swept across the country. A squall line is a sudden increase in winds lasting for several minutes. It's often associated with thunderstorms. Earlier, JPS had reported that approximately 50,000 of its customers had been affected in several communities across Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon and Manchester. JPS's Senior Vice President of Energy Delivery, Blaine Jarrett, says it's anticipated that electricity will return to most customers by midnight.
I am happy to report that we have seen great progress so far. Currently, just about 20,000 customers still remain out. These are primarily in the parishes of Kingston and St. Andrew, Trelawney, and St. Catherine. And I'm also happy to say that since our improved work on resiliency, we have seen where the grid has responded well compared to what it would have been in the past. We are happy also to report that where we are now with our repairs, we anticipate that most of our customers will be back by midnight tonight. We are pulling all the stops. Our incident command has been activated. Our crews are on the ground, and we are pulling all the stops to ensure that we bring back our customers in the shortest possible time. Most of them, as I said, will be back by midnight, and we will provide updates as we progress.
The weather condition began affecting the island about 12:15 p.m. Mr. Jarrett is urging members of the public to exercise caution, especially around fallen wires, and to report outages or hazards using the JPS mobile app, website, or customer care center.
When you have a squall, the primary exposure is the flying objects, zings and other debris that will make contact with our lines. And these are the risks that not only to the power lines, but to also our customers. So we are saying that our customers should always be mindful of that and take all necessary precaution in those circumstances.
Blaine Jarrett, JPS's Senior Vice President of Energy Delivery. Meanwhile, the Met Service says the high winds due to Monday's squall line lasted up to 20 minutes. Head of the Weather Branch at the Met Office, Rohan Brown, sought to explain what happened.
Well, there is a large area of showers and thunderstorms associated with a cumulonimbus cloud, right? And below this cumulonimbus clouds are some patches or some areas of squall-like activity moving across the island. So if you look outside, you're going to have strong windy conditions. You're going to have some pockets of rainfall. But what's occurring is a squall line that is moving offshore the southeast coast and going across sections of Kingston and St. Andrew.
Rohan Brown, head of the Weather Branch at the Met Service. Members of the public are being encouraged to stay indoors during the weather condition. And the telecommunications company Digicel says the adverse weather condition resulted in some of its sites in Trelawney, Hanover, St. James, St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland temporarily going offline. In a post to its social media page, Today, the company says it's working with the relevant teams and authorities to prioritize restoration in the affected areas. It says customers in those areas may also experience challenges making calls and using their mobile data. Digicel says it will provide further updates as they become available. In other news, UWI professor Anthony Clayton says the recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling dismissing Mexico's lawsuit against American gun manufacturers is more evidence that Jamaica must redouble local efforts to stop the flow of guns into the island.
So the recent court ruling in the U.S. doesn't provide any grounds for optimism that we're going to be able to shut off the flow of weapons coming in. Our only recourse, therefore, is to do more of what we're doing now, which is to improve intelligence-led policing, invest more in scanners, in camera technology, and above all, to try to break up the organized crime networks that bring the weapons in, and to try and get further up in the networks to bring down the people who are really the major organizers behind weapons shipment.
In a unanimous decision, the U.S. judges ruled Mexico had not credibly proven that the manufacturers knowingly facilitated the unlawful sale of their firearms. Jamaica had joined the lawsuit seeking to hold the manufacturers liable for the flow of the weapons into the region. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says despite the outcome of the case, Jamaica should continue to pursue other avenues to stem the flow of weapons. Professor Clayton says the combination of weak U.S. gun laws and the complications that would arise in international trade makes the situation a difficult one to solve.
What we would really prefer to do is to try to shut down the flow of inbound weapons. And that's extremely difficult to do. Only a tiny percentage, 1 at most 3%, of shipping containers are searched. And the job of searching all of them would be extremely onerous. And of course, it would be a major barrier to the free movement of goods. So there'd be major economic consequences if we wanted to strip and search absolutely every shipping container.
Anthony Clayton, Professor of Sustainable Development at the UWI Mona. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Sports is next.
At a time when many had lost confidence in the JCF and questioned whether their true transformation was even possible, when some believed that simple change the name from force to service would suffice, this administration, this minister held steadfast to a new transformation vision. Since November 2022, when the Firearm Prohibition, Restriction and Regulation Act came into effect, there has been a steady increase in the recovery of firearms. We are creating a professional culture, one that respects the dignity and rights of every Jamaican. We are building a Jamaica concerted force that is institutionally resilient, ready to meet the future, and that future is emerging.
A message from the Ministry of National Security. Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid-tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Good evening with your sports report. I'm Alwick Swiby. We start with track and field as several of Jamaica's star athletes are not listed to compete at the J3A's Puma National Junior and Senior Championships at the National Stadium from June 26 to 29. These include Amar McLeod, Elaine Thompson-Heber, Roger Stoner and Jaden Hibbert. World and Olympic 110 meters hurdles champion McLeod is surprisingly absent after some encouraging appearances so far this season. His latest was his winning performances in the 100 meters and 110 meters hurdles in Italy on Saturday. Meanwhile, double Olympic champion Thompson-Heber and Hibbert's absence is understandable as both are yet to make their season debut. Stoners has made 2 appearances but seems to have opted not to take part in the championships. However, there will still be a galaxy of stars to put on a great show for track and field fans. Among them are multiple world and Olympic champion Shalane Fraser-Price, defending world 200 meters champion Shericka Jackson, Tia and Tina Clayton, Olympic silver medalist Kishane Thompson, Oblique Seville, Akeem Blake, and Brian Lavelle. Nationwideat FM will have live coverage of the championships. World Championship mile relay bronze medalist Christopher Taylor was not satisfied with his 20.88 seconds clocking in winning the men's 200 meters at the J3A's All-Comers Series at the National Stadium on the weekend. Taylor blames his poor showing on miscommunication.
To be honest, there was nothing satisfying about this race. The meet was an hour behind, so push warm up behind a little. And then all of a sudden, like 20 minutes to original race time, they caused, I'm really not warm. So I just came out here just to get the race in. I hope that's a bit salty. Yeah, I was actually way faster than that. But it is what it is. I will go to the drawing board and come back.
Taylor, who is being guided by coach Shanika Osborne, says they will have a discussion on whether he will focus on the 200 or 400 meters at Nationals.
This was the race I was supposed to decide. So now I have to go over and have a deep conversation with my coach and then see where we go from there. Confident as always. It's just that my body isn't ready to manage all the rounds that I would have to go through at the championship in Tokyo. So that's the only thing that's weighing on my mind and my coach.
Taylor says his return has been steady.
I won't say it's easy, but it's a work in progress, and I'm taking my time to try to find it bit by bit and keep going.
Christopher Taylor. Now, coach of St. Peter and Paul, Jerome Kirby, expected tougher competition at the GISA Prep School Athletics Championships, which ended at the National Stadium on the weekend. The Old Oak Road-based school won by 38 points to retain the title. They amassed 220 points and were well clear of Vaz Prep in second on 182. Mona Prep with 125 finished in third spot. Kirby anticipated a greater challenge from Vaz.
I thought we would have got a less margin. I thought Vaz would have been a lot closer because I knew they were coming very strong. Our Lady of the Angels, very good team when it comes down to the field event year after year. So we know they would have stepped out with large margin, a large gap between us on the first day. We expected some more field events on the first day. Didn't materialize, but we were confident in the other events that we had in the upcoming days.
He says his Class 3 and 4 athletes separated them from their opponents.
This year it's the little kids, the middle age group. We have a nice pool of talent there and they delivered very well. We have a champion girl in Class 2, Class 3 boy and girl. We have champions there, medalists. So a lot of times Class 1 is the decider of winning a champ. For me this year, it was an all-around, but most notably, the younger one set the margin between us and Vaz because we and Vaz had a very similar team in terms of quality.
Jerome Kirby. Now to football, as coach of Jamaica's senior men's football team, Steve McLaren, reiterated that it will be a highly competitive match against Guatemala in their Group C CONCACAF Gold Cup encounter at the Dignity Health Tennis Center in California on Monday at 9 p.m. Jamaica time. McLaren says they take little comfort from the 3-0 win over Guatemalans in the World Cup qualifier at the National Stadium last week.
It's going to be a difficult game. We knew that watching them previous to playing them last week. And tough opponent. We played very well in the home game and maybe caught Guatemala on a good time because they'd already qualified, made some changes. But we took advantage. We beat the team we had to beat. It will be a completely different game. That's what we expect. So it's 0-0. We have to do it all again. And as I said, tough game.
This will be the 6th meeting between the countries at the Gold Cup, with Jamaica winning the previous 5 encounters. Reggae Boys Vice Captain Damian Lowe says as long as they stick to the game plan, they should come away with all 3 points.
Follow the boss's instruction. He's been doing a really good job with the coaching staff to keep us grounded and to keep us focused and to keep us sharp. I think the most important thing for us is creating a winning mentality, whether or not it's the World Cup qualifiers or the Gold Cup. Just have to go into training sessions and be competitors and push each other. So when it's game day, not saying it's easier, but it becomes easier because we've been doing the right things in training. So it's just going to be a different ballgame. We expect them to come harder, run harder, have different personnel on the field, but we just have to put our best foot forward, follow the coach's instruction, and stick together as a team, and we should be able to get 3 points.
Damian Lowe. Now forward, Davy Richards scored a hat-trick to extend her goal-scoring tally and help Fraser's Whip to an 11-0 win over Federal United in the Jamaica Women's Premier League at the Prison Oval on the weekend. Richards, who scored in the 19th, 24th and 32nd minutes, continued to lead the Golden Boot race with 31 goals. Chanel Spence scored in the 26th minute to remain second with 26 goals after Cavalier beat Los Perfectos 4-1. Meanwhile, Arnett Gardens' Shariki Douglas didn't add to her tally of 23 and remains third since their game against Proven Girls was not played. The officials were forced to blow off the match after Proven Girls turned up late. In other results, My Gully beat UWI Women 2-1 and Real Mobay beat Springer United 2-1. Last year's beaten finalists, White Horses and Bath, will contest the Sir St. Thomas Major Football League final at York Oval on Wednesday. Bath booked their place in the final after beating Danvers Pen 2-1 in the return leg semi-final after the first leg ended 0-0. Meanwhile, White Horses got by York 3-2 on penalties. Their return leg finished 1-1 after regulation and extra time. Now to gymnastics, as Ellie Baker created history, becoming the first male Jamaican gymnast to secure a medal at the Senior Pan American Championships in Panama on the weekend. Jamaica's 8-member team include 4 males and 4 females. The others are Rhea Linton, Clayton Bell, Daniela Richards, Lauren Rossin, Alana Walker, Caleb Falk, and Matthew McClemont. Baker picked up the bronze on the pommel horse. He's encouraged by his improvement from his last showing at the championships.
To me, it means a lot. It means I've improved over the years because in 2023 at Pan Am Championships, I came 4th. This time I got my medal, so I'm really excited to have gone the next step up and get this.
LL Baker. Jamaica had 2 other finalists at the championships, Linton and newcomer Bell. Now to cricket, as captain of the West Indies, Shea Hope was beaming with pride after the Caribbean side beat Ireland by 62 runs in the final game of their 3-match T20 series at the Brady Ground on Sunday. The win gave the Windies a 1-0 series victory after the first 2 matches were abandoned due to rain. Evan Lewis, 91, and Hope, 51, shared in a first wicket stand of 122 to lay the foundation for the big total. Lewis belted 7 fours and 8 sixes in his 44-ball knock, while Hope slammed 4 fours and 4 sixes off 27 deliveries. Casey Cartier weighed in with an unbeaten 49 against Matthew Humphries, 2 for 16. Hope had high praises for the batters.
It's very important, especially after the back of that English series that we had a couple of days ago. They basically give us a battering, so it's great to finish the UK tour on a high. Wonderful display from the batters today, especially Evan getting that good start. And once he gets flowing, he's a very destructive batter. So happy to see the guys raising their hands in the batting group, and hopefully can continue like that as a team.
Russ Adair, 48, and Harry Tector shared in a second wicket stand of 101, but the Irish chase fizzled when both departed, as only Mark McCarthy, 31, showed any further resistance as Akeal Hussain bagged 3 for 27 and Jason Holder 2 for 49. Hope is not 100% satisfied with his team's feeling.
One thing that you can look at, stats don't really lie, and we've been struggling to get out the power play, 2, 3, 4 wickets down on some occasions as a batting unit. And then with the ball, it's the same thing. Flip. We struggle to take wickets in the power play to put other teams under pressure. And that's something that we did today. Unfortunately, we had chances with the ball, but we didn't take them. Let's say we caught those two batters, Tector and the other one, the other opener. Then things could have been a lot more different. We could have probably taken 3, 4 in the power play. So again, things that we're trying to improve on as a team. We're getting there, but it's still work in progress.
Shea hope the West Indies' next limited overs series will be their 5-game schedule against Australia at the start of July at Sabina Park. Now to motorsport, as Jamaican rallycross driver Fraser McConnell overcame a string of qualifying setbacks to claim a third-place finish at round 7 of the Rally X Series at the Kimini Ring circuit in Finland on the weekend. The event marked the first time Kimini Ring was used for rallycross, giving all 19 drivers a clean slate. McConnell began the weekend on a high, posting the third fastest time in free practice. In the semi-final, Fraser started from the back row and avoided the early congestion in turn 1. He took an early joker lap, gaining clean track space and chasing down the front pack. A tight battle followed between McConnell and a more powerful supercar, with McConnell finishing just 0.007 seconds behind second place. The narrow margin meant McConnell would start from the back row in the final. Still, he maintained his composure, avoiding early contact and capitalizing on incidents ahead to move into position 2 of the turn 2. The only FC2 spec car in a four-wheel drive pro final, otherwise dominated by supercars, Fraser held on for a third-place finish.
You just have to drive smart and stay out of trouble, but there's always the balance you have to play with risk and reward. So if you're being too careful, you're going to be slow. If you're going all out, flat out the entire time, you have a higher chance of getting car damage. So it's about playing that balance as we always do as race drivers. But the car is good and we're feeling happy.
Fraser McConnell, his next race will be in Sweden on June 28 to 29. And finally in basketball, Lady Celtics beat Lady Panthers 47-35 in Game 2 of the Women's National Basketball League semifinal at the Stadium Courts on Sunday. The win helped the Celtics level the 3-match series 1-1. Petria and Buchanan top scored with 21 points and 16 rebounds, while Kalia Livingston had 13 points and 13 rebounds for the Celtics. Kadeen Cowan scored 19 points and 18 rebounds in the Panthers' losing effort. I'm Alex Ribby, and that's your sport.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:22.
In Jamaica, your rights are protected by our Constitution. From the right to education to freedom of expression, every citizen deserves respect and dignity. But remember, with rights come responsibilities. Let's uplift and respect each other and stand against injustice. Together, we can make Jamaica a better place for ourselves and future generations. Know your rights. Embrace your responsibilities. This message was brought to you by the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Get on the rum with Appleton Estate this month. Dive into the history, craftsmanship, and experience a taste of Jamaican excellence. Indulge in your favorite Appleton Estate cocktails and food pairings available at participating restaurants. Or receive a complimentary Appleton 8-year-old Reserve 200 ml when you purchase a bottle of Appleton Estate's Signature Blend 750 ml while stocks last at participating outlets. Appleton Estate. Land on the extraordinary. Follow us at Appleton Estate JA to get on the rum. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A special good evening to our friends over on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We would like you to weigh in live in the comment section on today's Public Opinion. The Ministry of Labour has given the green light to the Chinese-owned and operated Wholehearted Car Services Company in Ferry Pen, St. Catherine to resume operations. In a statement on Sunday, the ministry said it had completed its investigation into labour law compliance issues at the facility. The Chinese-run garage has been a hit with the public, with huge crowds gathering at the location from as early as 3 in the morning in order to access services. But the company was ordered shut after Nationwide News reported that the majority of the Chinese mechanics at the facility had no work permit. Labour Minister Pernell Charles Jr. says the company has agreed to several measures to secure the resumption approval.
As part of the resolution, the Wholehearted Car Service Limited has agreed to implement the following measures. 1. Enrolling all employees in the Hart NSTA Trust program to acquire their prior learning certificate. 2. To establish a structured apprenticeship program through the Jamaican German Automotive School in collaboration with Hart NSTA Trust. 3. To allow Hart NSTA Trust and Jagas instructors to understudy the auto mechanics operation to ensure knowledge transfer and skills development. 4. To submit a list of all Jamaican workers, including their names, wages, and positions, along with copies of their fully endorsed employment contracts to the ministry within 3 months of reopening the garage.
Pernell Charles Jr., Labour Minister. Now to the question of the day. What's your reaction to the reopening of the Chinese mechanic shop? That's what we're asking in Public Opinion. Turning my attention immediately to our Facebook platform, where Barry Black saying there should be at least 4 Chinese garages in each parish. Audley Nain says it's very good that they're now licensed to operate. Jamaican mechanic needs to treat their clients better. We now have alternative. Yeah. Jermaine Donovan saying other mechanic shops will be forced to provide good service now. For Salome Palmer, her response to the presence in the space, to their presence in the space was overwhelming, which indicated that we needed the competition. Too many complaints about our own. In giving them the approval, they have to employ and train locals, so that's a plus for us. Manayad Baker saying it's a welcomed resumption. It will save Jamaican motorists lots of dollars. Jamaican people are too dishonest in whatever they do. Example, there's a grocery store not far from our community that I am a man who loves my Malta, and they're selling one for $300. Well, I want to tell you, say. And the Chinese store not far away was selling the same Malta for $200. You can imagine? Yes, I can imagine, because Donovan Smith saying great move, a positive and affordable service to Jamaicans who own and operate vehicles. For Lily Rose, she's saying full time. They shouldn't shut down in the first place. Right Land said, please open quickly. My car needs to see you. George Elliott, good move, especially being obliged to have Jamaican apprentices. Yeah, that really was a good move. Michael Vaughn, hope they expand soon. Motorists will love that, and local mechanics will be forced to get their acts together. O'Neill Dennis saying to us, too long Jamaican people have been suffering under Jamaican mechanics. Many of them are so dishonest. You give them your vehicle to repair today, and within a few days you have to give them again. We welcome the Chinese that will give Jamaica vehicle owners value for their money. What's your reaction to the reopening of the Chinese mechanic shop out of Ferry? Yeah, that's the question we're asking. Philip Jackson is saying to us, once they meet the standards, kudos to them. When one Chinese can do two smutty work. Yeah, say Moti Perkins repeating what a caller tell Miss Gludon. Okay, yeah. Charmaine Walker saying it's wonderful. Winston, excellent. Sean Major Campbell, in a free market economy, this can only enhance choices on the part of the consumer while advancing healthy competition among service providers. All right, let me see what's happening on our X platform. Graham Jervis says, good for the consumer, also shows confidence in Jamaica that they went through the process correctly after getting called out. Yeah, Voice of Truth say, I was very happy for them, honestly. Happy under the terms, happy, this from 6.5. 6 or 1/2 dozen other. Yeah, wow, what a name. I am happy. The terms and conditions are good. I am all for the transfer of knowledge. Hopefully our people will make use of the opportunity. Yeah, on Instagram, Wayne Tipsy Campbell is saying it's a good idea. Local mechanics will now do their best to compete with Chinese by doing excellent work to please their clients. For Aubin is saying best decision. I agree with the conditions as well. At least we'll get some decent mechanics around the island. I appreciate the reopening. This is from D Fashion Travel. Appreciate the opening, especially with the stipulations that knowledge is to be passed on. Let me see what our YouTubers are saying. What's your reaction to the reopening of the Chinese mechanic shop? Yeah? Herman, yes, let them work, Jamaican mechanic, two teeth. Yeah? Positive move, says Marigold Weber. Let me see if I can get in a few more. David Nebar, greetings to you, saying to us that we can look up stuff on YouTube and fix some of the things on our car ourselves. Self-sufficient, that's what we're all about. Grounded on the tarmac, saying that this was the expected outcome. The government would shoot itself in the foot politically, if not with the election looming and those Chinese being so popular. Classic example of strategizing and pivoting. Marlene P. Jamaican mechanics will do much better now. Yeah, Neville Bennett saying that the Chinese are very skillful and once they meet the standard and approval process, let them work. All right, Papa, a bad man, the Chinese, them, Jamaica mechanic, them for go. All right. These are not my views. These are the views of Papa. Let me just be clear on that. Because next thing, I'll carry the vehicle or mechanic and he's saying, hear me on radio till such. Okay. All right. You get the picture. All right. Claire Davis says, our local mechanics need official training. Too much guess and spell work. Garfield saying, I don't know if the minister is correct. If the Chinese are more advanced, how will Hart certify them? I mean, it's our local certification. At least they'll have that. Aishan Khan, many who are welcoming the Chinese not long ago said that Dr. Holness brought them here to take over Jamaica. Now you'll see that anything Dr. Holness touches turned gold rather. Yeah, that's coming from Aishan Khan. Judith Dodd saying she'll be going there. Yeah, you'll be going there. What time you going to wake up to go there, Judith? Because I believe that other mechanics want to go there as well. Philip Jackson saying this mechanical repair shop must only be about the quality and the integrity of repairs. Yeah. Let's see. They call them backyard mechanics, says David Nebar. We don't know the long-term plan, says Glenroy Clayton. Yeah. As somebody bad mind the Chinese, them Jamaica mechanic, them for go away. We want some Chinese politician, says Papa. Yeah, go on with yourself. Gathwick saying it's the best part is knowledge transfer, and he believes that's a good move. And that's basically the response we've been getting to say that the transfer of knowledge to our local mechanics. That's a good move. That's the response we've been getting here to our question. Your reaction to the reopening, the resumption of the Chinese mechanic shop out of Ferry. Yeah? Some of these mechanics are jack of all trades and master of none, says David. Alex Smith is asking, I wonder if the Chinese fix foot because my feet is the only thing I drive. Well, Alec, I want we have to find out, Walk on, go over there, man. Go on over there. Go over there. All right, that's all the time we have for Public Opinion, the Business Report. Thank you so much for engaging. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:34. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robian Williams. The country's point-to-point inflation rate declined slightly at the end of May. That's according to data from the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin. It says the country's point-to-point inflation rate was 5.2% for the period. This is down from the 5.3% rate recorded for the month prior. This was influenced mainly by the point-to-point inflation rates for the division's food and non-alcoholic beverages, housing, water, electricity, gas, and restaurant and accommodation services. The rate remains within the Bank of Jamaica's target range of 4 to 6%. Further afield, President Donald Trump has signed an executive order to reduce tariffs on UK cars being shipped to the US, which will bring into force parts of a tariff pact agreed between the two countries last month. Speaking at the G7 summit in Canada, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer called the move a very important day for both countries. The pact was the first that the White House has announced since it imposed tariffs on various goods entering America from around the world earlier this year. But a 10% levy remains in place on most goods, including cars arriving to American shores from the UK, and the removal of charges on steel imports are yet to be finalized. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 159 Jamaican dollars and 86 cents to buy $1, 216 Jamaican dollars and 60 cents to buy £1 British pound, and 117 Jamaican dollars and 99 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the Business Report. I'm Robian Williams. Good evening.
You've led teams, built businesses, and influenced change. Now, lead research that transforms your field. Apply now for the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean's Doctor of Business Administration or Doctor of Professional Practice. Flexible, research-based, and designed for working professionals. All UCC programs are accredited by the University Council of Jamaica. Learn more and apply online at ucc.edu.jm. UCC, fostering leadership and innovation.
We can light up your world with the rays of the sun, putting pure energy in the palm of your hand.
For over 20 years, Fosrich has been putting a world of energy in your hands. Now we bring you big savings with our line of solar energy products and LED lighting. Financing now available for all your home and commercial retrofit projects. Consult with our in-house staff or certified professional engineers for all your electrical needs. Fosrich Lifestyle. It's electric. Fosrich, your energy world.
And now, a special message from our Commissioner of Police, Dr. Kevin Blake.
In 2023, many of you told us how pleasantly surprised you were with our first Transformations Expo. Be prepared to be amazed at Transformations Expo 2.0, People, Quality and Technology, coming from 2 locations at the National Arena in Kingston and simultaneously at the Montego Bay Community College from Thursday, June 19 to Sunday, June 22. Bring your friends. Bring your family. I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Tune
in to Nationwide 90 FM on Tuesday, June 17 from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. for the live sectoral presentation by the Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Edmund Bartlett. Also, you can view the presentation on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. So tune in to Nationwide 90 FM on Tuesday, June 17 from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's the live sectoral presentation by the Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Edmund Bartlett. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is sponsored by the Ministry of Tourism.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Join Cliff Hughes Online on Tuesday, June 17, 2025 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. live from the Jamaica Conference Center, Port Royal Street, downtown Kingston. The employment of over 10,000 youth in a bid to enhance the services offered by the local government sector will be the prime focus of the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development's Youth Summer Employment Program, YSEP. Hear highlights on the benefits, purpose, and structure of YSEP from special guest speaker, Prime Minister Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, and Portfolio Minister the Honorable Desmond McKenzie. That's a live broadcast of Cliff Hughes Online, Tuesday, June 17, 2025 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. live from the Jamaica Conference Center, Port Royal Street, downtown Kingston. Only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development.
Good evening, good evening. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis, and it's now time for the nation's business. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling dismissing Mexico's lawsuit against American gun manufacturers will not close the door to progress on the fight against arms trafficking in the region. In 2023, Jamaica had joined Antigua and Barbuda, Belize, the Bahamas, and Trinidad and Tobago to support Mexico's civil suit.
However, earlier this month, the U.S. Supreme Court unanimously dismissed the $10 billion action. Dana David reports.
Mexico's legal challenge, unprecedented in its scope, sought to hold American gun manufacturers accountable for the steady and deliberate flow of deadly weapons across its border. In the case known as Smith & Wesson Brands, Inc. versus Estados Unidos Mexicanos, Mexico had argued that gun manufacturers are knowingly aiding and abetting the unlawful sale of their firearms to straw purchasers who are trafficking them across the southern border to give to drug cartels. But the justices said that because Mexico's complaint does not plausibly allege that the gun makers criminally aided and abetted retail dealers' unlawful sale of weapons to Mexican traffickers, it is barred by the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, or PLCAA. In a statement on Monday, Prime Minister Holness cited the federal protections that shield the gun industry from liability. Dr. Holness says the outcome is not surprising. He says while it closes one avenue through which Mexico and other Latin American and Caribbean nations, Jamaica included, sought to influence the U.S. to do more to stem the flow of illicit arms throughout the region, other avenues exist. Prime Minister Holness says lasting solutions will come through bilateral collaboration, not litigation. Dr. Holness, whose doctoral thesis focused on the ways U.S. gun laws and regulations impact the illicit gun trade in Jamaica, says the same criminal networks in the Caribbean that engage in the trafficking of humans, narcotics, and other contraband that more directly impact Americans are the very ones responsible for the illicit importation of firearms from the U.S. This, he says, represents a common threat to both Caribbean countries and their northern partners. Regarding U.S. legislation, Dr. Holness says there is room for improvement. He cited steps taken to enhance federal enforcement against gun trafficking in recent years. For example, the bipartisan Safer Communities Act passed in 2022 introduced tougher penalties for straw purchases and created new trafficking offenses. More recently, the U.S. has proposed the Caribbean Arms Trafficking Causes Harm (CATCH) Act. Though not yet passed, Dr. Holness says it signals growing willingness within the U.S. Congress to curb the unintended consequences that American gun laws have on neighboring states. The CATCH Act would mandate the U.S. Department of Justice to track and report on gun trafficking to the Caribbean while strengthening enforcement cooperation within the region. He says there is also scope to expand joint operations between U.S. agencies and Jamaican law enforcement to better map trafficking networks and dismantle them from the inside out. In addition, Dr. Holness says there's value in more robust data sharing on suspicious bulk purchases, serial numbers, and interstate transfers. Dana Davy for Nationwide News.
Thanks, Dana.
Prime Minister.
Go ahead, Sanjay.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Holness says the majority of guns trafficked into the island are shipped from the United States. In 2023, this amounted to around 85% of the weapons seized. Dr. Holness says the guns include high-powered rifles, military-grade pistols, and extended magazine clips with ammunition, the preferred tools of contract killers, gang lords, and criminal networks.
Joining us now to discuss, we have criminologist Dr. Jason Mackay and attorney at law. We're going to be joined by attorney at law at the Golding Law Group, Wayne Golding. Dr. Mackay, good evening.
Good evening. Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. This ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court, obviously a setback. I mean, it was a long shot bid to begin with, but obviously a setback. What more can we do? Because it almost seems like we're sitting ducks in this region, yeah?
Well, I mean, it's a bit disappointing. I didn't particularly like Jamaica joining it because I knew it would lead to an embargo of some sort, and that is what has happened. They stopped selling us arms now. So from day one, I knew it would come with some problems, but I was kind of hoping at least they would take some responsibility for the fact that the weapons are leaving their ports and coming into other ports, just like how when narcotics leave our ports and end up in their ports, that we are held responsible. But that being said, I mean, I think the message has been sent that something needs to be done, and I think the U.S. government is going to move a lot tighter, I think, on the manufacturers of weapons to ensure that there's more control mechanisms that relates to export and mass purchases by people. Because I think that is where the problem is coming by. You know, I think because now they've been sued, even if they've won the suit, I think everybody's going to sit up and pay a little bit more attention rather than if they had just sat dormant. So there was an advantage for us to joining the suit. It just that it resulted in an embargo, you know.
The Prime Minister has said, Jason Mackay, that the ruling doesn't end the fight. And realistically, what tools do Caribbean nations now have, if any, to push back against the illegal gun trade originating in the U.S.?
Well, remember, the illegal gun trade isn't a manifestation of the U.S. government. You know, it's criminals, largely Jamaican, in the United States who are shipping the guns to their cronies out here. So, I mean, it is not like it is not us. It's not our government against their government. It's us against our criminal and our criminals who live overseas. So we can't have them make it look like the only thing that is all is lost because of that. We are doing a lot to detect guns, and we're finding guns, and we're recovering lots of guns. So, and where there's been many improvements to the borders, and a lot of technology is being utilized down there now. So the fight will continue. I think the fact that they've been brought before the court may help on that side over there, that they become a little bit more responsible. And so I don't think it was a futile attempt, and I think we're going to continue recovering guns, but we need to bring in sanctions that are more in keeping with a crisis. We have capital punishment in our books. If you import drugs into Singapore, if you import drugs into Taiwan, if you import drugs into China, Vietnam, and other democratic countries that are in Asia, you get the death penalty for it. And I think if mass importation, like guns by the hundreds, needs to be treated the same way. Unless you do something like that, you're not going to stop it.
But Dr. Mackay, in our legal situation now, where the courts don't seem open to that argument that there is some serious emergency that requires extraordinary measures, you think something like that would pass judicial muster, death penalty?
Well, must remember, the court was virtually letting out people with a slap on the wrist for firearms, and they went from that to 20 to 15 years for a pistol because of legislation. It's legislation that determines what the court does. I mean, it has nothing. It's not that the judges didn't want to give capital punishment. If you're going to use capital punishment in a murder case, there are certain steps you have to take by the prosecution, and then the prosecution faces the challenge that if they do that, the jury is likely to push back, because there are a lot of people who don't want to be involved in the murder of in the execution of somebody else at any level. So an easier route was always to go for life imprisonment, but it's very much possible to utilize it for something, especially if it's a judge alone trial.
Yeah, but the thing is, before we bring in Dr. Goldin, the vast majority of illegal firearms in Jamaica, we can attest and agree, originate in the United States. Yeah, the traffickers exploit the legal loopholes in the U.S. states like Florida and Texas and smuggle weapons via freight barrel couriers. We see that happening. So even with the harshest laws that we may implement in Jamaica, we're not addressing the root cause of the problem, wouldn't you say?
We have an extradition agreement with the United States, Many of those persons over there who are trafficking the guns here are not U.S. citizens. So we know we're going to run into a wall if we try and extradite a U.S. citizen. But although legally we shouldn't, but that's just how it works out practically. But if a Jamaican green card holder or illegal alien is over there exporting guns, and we have a warrant that we can send for them and bring them back home, and capital punishment is the sanction. Once something dramatic like that happens, it's going to have an effect. It's just that if you're going to treat it the same way, you're going to go from the 5 guns per barrel to the 200 or 300 guns per heater with a regularity that you don't want to see. And at some point, they're going to have more arms than the armed forces. So you have to do something drastic, and drastic works. I mean, since the new gun bill can only be described as drastic, if they can't with a toy water gun, you can end up going to prison for it, and it's mandatory. We've done drastic; it works. But in this case, the only thing that's going to somehow discourage persons from getting involved in the mass exportation of guns and importation of guns into Jamaica is a sanction that is greater than decades in prison.
Mm-hmm. When Goldin, do you believe this ruling has effectively closed a legal pathway for countries like Jamaica to hold U.S. gun manufacturers accountable?
Well, I think in the first place, the lawsuit was ill thought of, because the exception is clearly there for the gun manufacturers to be immune from this type of lawsuit. This is something that has been tried by not only individuals, but corporations, communities, countries. And so the end result of the lawsuit is not surprising to me. However, I don't think the challenges are going to be met by a legal framework that cannot be implemented. Because what it is, people have to realize that the gun manufacturers are so powerful in the United States. And with the free market system that's there, I think it's going to be difficult for one to use any legal means to try and stem the flow of guns into other countries, specifically Jamaica. And ultimately, the responsibility rests on Jamaica and Jamaican authorities, whether through diplomatic means or through their own implementation of some sort of better security system to our porous borders, because apparently, you can conclude that the guns are coming in and they have to come in at a point of entry. And so you have to recognize that there's a weakness there. So no matter how you legislate, as long as people have a financial gain, significant financial gain, and sometimes a political gain, stemming the flow from this country, the United States, I don't think it will stop. The responsibility ultimately stops at the feet of the authorities in Jamaica to make Jamaica less porous borders. And I mean, that's a fact of life. I mean, you can legislate until the cows come home, but it is ultimately the responsibility of those who are in charge of our borders in Jamaica to put systems in place to try and stop what's happening with the illegal importation of guns.
Dr. Mackay, the argument that we could try to, for example, have more bilateral conversations with the U.S., countries in Latin America, how successful do you think those efforts would be?
I mean, every little bit helps, but in respect of what Dr. Golding was just saying, you must remember now, in the United States, with all of their resources, have never been able to create a shortage of cocaine into their country, which is not homegrown. So it's not really about our borders being porous. We are an island. We have a massive fishing industry of small men who go out and fish. There's so many ways you can get guns into Jamaica. Plus, there is also, Jamaica has received more personal effects in the United States. People send down barrels. So our volume, you cannot literally say that you're going to search every single barrel coming to Jamaica. It's not logistically possible. So based on how our borders are, they're in keeping what borders are normally. The reason why you catch so much guns coming in is because the customs and the police are working and doing what they can to catch them. But by nature of our island and by nature of our import-export culture, you're going to find that they're going to be able to pass. But which is why I say it has to be the one crime that a man don't want to touch, because if he touches it, it's dealt in a totally and completely different way. And we've already done that with guns now, which is why so many of them are firing on the police rather than getting caught, because they know once they're caught, they're probably gone for 25 years. You're going to have to do something even greater than that, because when somebody exports guns to Jamaica in mass, they know that they can make a lot of money out of it, probably in keeping with what you'd earn off of narcotics. Now, when you can actually extend the legal hand into the United States and extradite them back to Jamaica to face capital punishment, well, that now becomes something that somebody will stay away from.
Yeah. When Golden, the U.S. has spent decades funding anti-drugs program in Latin America and the Caribbean, and we see that, for example, in Colombia and other areas, but it has not equally prioritized stopping the outbound flow of guns. Why is it that the U.S. is not paying greater attention to the calls made by several leaders in the Caribbean, the cry for help to put stricter legislation in place to ensure that they stop the outflow of guns from the U.S. to the Caribbean?
Well, we have to be realistic about the situation. It comes down to economics, and who controls this section of concern. And impacting gun industry by legislation has never been a popular thing here in the United States. Even if it affects one gun being sold or leaving the country. So we have to face that reality. There have been pot shots taken over the years with different types of soft legislation for monitoring and all of that stuff. But the bottom line is there's not that appetite for it. And we have to stop trying to convince ourselves that the same concern of the outgoing flow of guns from the United States is the same concern as the inflow of drugs and other contraband into the United States. And there's a vested financial interest in it. Also, you're talking about extradition from the United States. There are currently extradition laws between Jamaica and the United States, which do allow for extraditions to happen. However, the legal framework here in the United States would make that very difficult. It's not like deporting somebody, or expelling somebody from the country. It's a quite different legal area of practice. And the difficulty that comes with that is massive, and it has been an obstacle for years. But again, I point to the fact that we cannot throw our hands up in the air and say, well, it is impossible for us to look at every barrel coming into Jamaica or every shipment coming into Jamaica, because you're talking about the lifeline of a country.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think with technology that's available, and I see the new police commissioner moving in that way. He's a very technologically oriented person. There are systems that can and should be put in place to try and stem the flow. Maybe there are that we don't know as a general public, but I know that we cannot say it is impossible. We can't do it. It is obvious that there's a breakdown in the system somewhere where the guns are actually coming into the country.
Yeah, I hear that ever so often, Wayne Golden, individuals calling for greater technology to be utilized. And you hear from the wharfs, for example, the shipment ports, that they have implemented several security measures to stem the flow. But as you indicated, it is very hard with so many containers coming in.
Well, I won't profess to be an expert, but when you do have a problem like this, I would think that there will be some comprehensive study done in order to figure out what kind of measures you could effect to increase the detection efforts that you do have. And obviously, when you hear about a shipment of 200 and something guns and how many thousands of ammunition being found out, it makes you wonder how much has gone, how much has not been caught. And then you don't hear the follow-up as far as who is responsible for the importation and the receiving of these guns. It dies a quiet death. Oftentimes you don't get that follow-up to say XYZ person, because it takes more than one. It has to be an organized effort. So I think we have to think of how we can solve the problem ourselves at our borders, because the guns are going to keep coming. The legislation is not going to stop it. The financial benefits are of such that the people who are engaged in the trade, no legislation, not even death, because, death penalty, yes, it's a form of punishment, but it has not been a deterrent. And we have seen that all over the world. So that's rather, I wouldn't say a simplified approach, but these people are not scared. They are not scared. They take the chance and they'll do what they have to. So we have to be realistic to say how we can outsmart them, so to speak. What can we put in place? And even then, when we do find those people who are involved, they should be publicized who they are. Every gun that comes into Jamaica from the United States with a serial number is traceable. I just leave that with you, to think about. And so is it that the United States authorities are saying, well, it's a free market here. People can buy any amount of guns. They can ship them to anywhere they want to ship, legally or illegally. And the power of the National Rifle Association cannot be put to the side or ignored, because it's a market-driven problem that we're having, because it's profitable to export guns from the United States.
Have to leave it there. Wayne Golding, Dr. Jason Mackay, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man.
All the best.
We'll take the break, come back with more.
You're a VIP with CIBC Caribbean. Spend US $100 or local equivalent with your CIBC Visa credit card for your chance to win a crop over VIP experience in Barbados. An all expense paid trip for two. Staying at the Courtyard by Marriott Hotel. Cultural tours and Aura experience with full glam makeup plus tickets to the hottest last lap events. Visit CIBC Caribbean /crop over 2025 for more info. Conditions apply.
Taste it, eat it, drink it, applaud it. The 26th staging of the Jamaica Observer Table Talk Food Awards, the Caribbean's premier culinary event, powered by MasterCard, takes place Thursday, June 26th on the East Lawns of King's House. Get your tickets at Starbucks at AC Marriott, Starbucks Ligony, Starbucks Waterloo, Signature Boutique, Unit 9, Legal Business Centre, 31 Upper Waterloo Road, Uncorked 2, Constant Spring Road, Uncorked Barbican, Sovereign North, Uncorked Ochi, Draxhall, Uncorked West, Fairview Shopping Centre, Resort Way by Ereline, Shop 4 Progressive Shopping Centre, Kingston, Cafe Dolce, 114 Constant Spring Road, Kingston, Fromage Bistro, 8 Hillcrest Avenue, Kingston, and of course the offices of the Jamaica Observer in Kingston and Montego Bay. Adults 18 years and over. Drink responsibly.
The gateway for Jamaica's athletes to several international competitions, including the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan, opens from Thursday, June 26 to Sunday, June 29 for the J3A Junior and Senior National Championships at the National Stadium, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. each day. Admission, finish area season tickets, $8,000. Daily, $1,000 to $3,000. Regular grandstand season tickets, $6,500. Daily, $1,000 to $2,500. Tickets go on sale at MysticOnlineTix.com. Starting June 11th, Pegasus Hotel and the Stadium Ticket Office. Starting Monday, June 23. The action will be sizzling.
Jamaica! It's time to make a move with Jamaica Moves. The Corporate Wellness Challenge 8x8 edition is here. 8 challenges, 8 months, 1 healthier workforce. Brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. This national movement pushes companies to compete, connect, transform your workplace 1 challenge at a time. Launch date Thursday, June 19, 2025. Register your company online at moh.gov.jm and lock in your spot. The Jamaica Moves Corporate Wellness Challenge 8x8 edition. Creating healthier workplaces for a healthier Jamaica.
5 minutes after 7, and we're going to turn our attention now to O'Connor Consulting Network Limited, COCN. Yeah, they're the recent winners of the Best of Chamber Award for Small Enterprises at the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce's 40th Annual Awards. And Charles O'Connor, who is the CEO, he's a fellow of both the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica and the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. He's also a registered public accountant with over 30 years of senior leadership experience in both the public and private sectors, including key roles at the Ministry of Finance and the Transport Authority.
And under his leadership, COCN has become a respected name in auditing and assurance, tax planning, and business advisory services. He joins us now to talk about this exciting recognition and what's next as the company approaches its 15th anniversary. Good afternoon, Mr. O'Connor. Or I should say good evening.
Good evening, Ricardo. Is this Ricardo?
Ricardo is here, but that's Sanjay.
Could you repeat?
It's Sanjay. So Ricardo and Sanjay this afternoon.
Ricardo and Sanjay. Yes. Hi, Sanjay. Hi, Ricardo.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you so much. First of all, congratulations. Now, what does it feel like to receive the Best of Chamber Award in the small enterprise category?
Well, first, let me thank you for your kind sentiments, and thank you for this opportunity to speak on your show. And let me say good evening to all your listeners. It is really an incredible honor to receive this recognition. This award reflects the dedication of our team and the trust our clients have placed in us. It's a reminder that small enterprises can have a big impact when they commit to integrity, expertise, and accountability. resulting, of course, in excellence. And you probably know that SMEs are reported to employ 60 to 70% of the Jamaican workforce. And so this category is very, very important in terms of national development.
Mm-hmm. And tell us a little bit about Charles O'Connor Consulting Network Limited, because I've heard the name. What do you do, and what sets you apart?
Okay. All right. So we specialize in audit and assurance services, accounting, tax planning, and business advisory. What sets us apart is our personalized approach. We don't believe in one-size-fits-all solutions. For example, we recently helped a client or assisted a client in the distribution business transition its business through an acquisition by a foreign entity, which was the only strategy that could allow it to adequately finance to take advantage of its reputation in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
So they were on the ropes in terms of financing. And we sat with them and we said, all right, you need to find a partner. We were able to put a value to the business, despite the fact that they never had a lot of tangible assets. But they had a strong brand and very good team, especially in the sales department.
Mm-hmm. And clearly the Chamber recognized the impact you have made. How would you describe your contribution to Jamaica's business environment?
We've focused on empowering businesses through our own knowledge and strategic support by ensuring that our team is equipped with the latest technology and know-how to provide our clients with actionable insights. Again, things like properly costing their products and services and pricing of their services, remain in tax compliance so that they can do business, for example, with the government and government agencies, manage cash flow effectively to ensure sustainability. Things like monitoring their gross profit margins, net profit margin, receivables payable, etc. Those are very important things for businesses to remain viable. In fact, as you know, the accounting is really the language of business, and we encourage businesses of all sizes to ensure that their house is always in order as far as their financial reporting is concerned.
Mm-hmm. I understand you're celebrating 15 years as a business. What do you think contributed most to your success?
Well, I believe that it's a milestone that reaffirms our commitment to excellence. For our team, it's validation of their hard work and expertise. We spend a lot of time upskilling and in continuous education to ensure that our team is cutting edge, both in terms of understanding the standards that we work with and understanding the technology. In other words, we believe that productivity and the use of modern technology, productivity is driven by modern technology, and we live and breathe that every day.
Yeah.
And looking ahead now, what are some of those exciting plans or goals you have in store for the company?
Well, we're expanding our services to include more technology-driven solutions. Such as automated financial analysis tools. Additionally, we're planning to extend our reach to underserved sections of the country and in the region, to ensure that more businesses have access to what we consider the essential services we provide. In fact, we're in talks to expand through mergers and acquisition, and I'm very confident, Sanjay, that we will be in a position to announce a merger in the second half of this year.
Very nice.
And where can people learn more about the services or even connect with your team?
Well, our location is 4 Torrington Avenue, our physical office, stone throw away from the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Education, the National Herald Park. They can visit us at 4 Torrington Avenue, but nowadays it's easier to connect with us virtually or go to our website, www.cocnjamaica.com. Our landline is 908-048-627. And our email is clientservices@cocnjamaica.com. And of course, they can connect with us on social media.
Right. And I'm thinking your team must be really, really grateful and honored to have received this award. What are you hearing from them in terms of what it means to them?
Oh, well, they're very elated. In fact, when we attended the ceremony, I mean, they were sort of chanting that they're proud to be a part of COCN, a part of the movement. So we everybody is excited, quite frankly. And I must give credit to, apart from the team generally, to our marketing director. Last year we entered and we didn't make it to the finish line, certainly not first. And this year, quite frankly, I wasn't even thinking in that direction. And Steve came to me and said, Daddy, what do you think? Do you think we should enter this year? And I said, well, I never had that in mind, but what do you think? He said, well, I think we should give it a shot.
Yes.
And he did. He did all the groundwork, and the rest of it is history. So I credit this award significantly to his effort.
Yeah. Well, again, major congratulations to you, sir. Charles O'Connor, the CEO of Charles O'Connor Consulting Network Limited. They are the winner of the Best of Chamber Award in the Small Enterprise category. That award granted at the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce's 40th Annual Awards. Congrats, sir.
Thank you.
All the best.
Have a good evening.
All the best for the future. We're going to break now for the Watchman, and after Watchman, we'll take your calls. 630-937124, 618-8255.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my multi-link?
We can light up your world with the rays of the sun, putting pure energy in the palm of your hand.
For over 20 years, Fosrich has been putting a world of energy in your hands. Now we bring you big savings with our line of solar energy products and LED lighting. Financing now available for all your home and commercial retrofit projects. Consult with our in-house staff or certified professional engineers for all your electrical needs. Fosrich Lifestyle. It's electric. Fosrich, your energy world.
You have to win? Then just bet. Bet on the game, no stress, no sweat. And win big in the Wanna Bet Just Bet promotion. Spend $1,500 or more on one Just Bet ticket and complete the entry form at promotions.supremegames.com for your chance to win. Third place gets Beats by Dre. Second place gets an iPhone 15 and AirPods Pro. And first place gets a 65-inch TV and a soundbar. Promotion runs May 16 to July 20, 2025. Grand draw July 25, 2025. Authorized under Section 58. Of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
And now, for a special message on the JCF Transformations Expo 2.0 by Deputy Commissioner Karina Howell-Hood.
We've been planning for months, and now we're ready to share more of the essence of who we are. At the JCF Transformations, People, Quality and Technology Expo 2.0. Coming June 19 to 22nd at the National Arena in Kingston and at the Montego Bay Community College. Come, see, experience what you've been hearing about your transforming police force.
The Watchman. Exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional. Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. Happy belated Father's Day. I'll start with a story. You may have heard it before. A man had 2 sons. The younger son confronted his father and demanded his inheritance. A few days after, the son left home to make life on his own. A famine arose in his new country and he experienced hardship. He had to resort to hiring out his service to feed swine. He regained his senses, swallowed his pride, and decided to return home. It's as if his father had been waiting for his return. Seeing his son coming in the distance, the man ran to meet him, hugged and kissed him. The father called his servants, told them to put a ring on his finger and to clothe him in fine garments. He then threw a welcome home party for his long-lost son. This is the parable of the prodigal son, told by Jesus as recorded in Luke chapter 15, verses 11 to 23, King James Version. The meaning of prodigal in the Bible is someone who lives an extravagant and wasteful lifestyle and is also stubborn and rebellious in nature, an unlovable reprobate, someone who has brought the family's name into disrepute and is predestined to damnation. The parable highlights some characteristics of godly fathers. Godly fathers provide for their children. Godly fathers listen to their children. Godly fathers demonstrate forgiveness and understanding toward their children. Godly fathers love their children. Returning briefly to the parable of the prodigal son, I will make what I hope is a biblical observation. When the son left home, he said goodbye to a father. When he returned home, he was welcomed by a daddy. There is an important distinction between the two. The title father connotes formal, respectful, and even a distant role. Daddy, on the other hand, is a title of endearment, closeness, empathy, and intimacy. You are a father when you plant the seed that fertilizes the egg that in 9 months presents itself as a newborn. You are a dad when the second pair of eyes that baby looks into is yours. You are a father when you encourage your child to be diligent in his or her schoolwork. You are a dad when you help with homework. You are a father when you ask the mother how your child is doing. You are a dad when you spend time to counsel and nurture your child. You are a father when you are happy to receive the news that your child is getting married. You are a dad when you play the role of the giveaway father. Jamaica suffers from what I would call an insufficiency of fatherhood. There are various names used to describe the malady: sperm donor, absentee father, baby father. Let us commit, with the help of the ultimate Father who is our Father in heaven, to be the best father we can be. To hear our child or children utter one of the sweetest sounds to human ear: Daddy. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio, Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
Looking for superior quality transportation from an international award-winning provider? Well, look no further. Choose Island Car Rentals, Jamaica's leading car rental company, setting the standard for road transportation in Jamaica. For over 50 years, Island Car Rentals has been your trusted partner for reliable, top-quality vehicles. But we're more than just a car rental company. Need an airport transfer at any hour? Heading out of town and want to travel in style with a private chauffeur? Need a truck to rent for business or personal use? Or maybe you need a customized shuttle or tour for a large or a small group? Whatever your transportation need, Island Car Rentals has you covered. Call us today at 876-926-8012 or 876-929-5875 or visit www.islandcarrentals.com to book your next trip. Because Island people take better care of you.
The gateway for Jamaica's athletes to several international competitions, including the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan, opens from Thursday, June 26 to Sunday, June 29 for the J3A Junior and Senior National Championships at the National Stadium, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. each day. The biggest names in local track and field, with the men's section including the likes of Olympic silver medalist Shane Thompson, Oblique Seville, Akeem Blake, Antonio Watson, Christopher Taylor, Olympic champion Roger Stoner, Rajendra Campbell, Wayne Pinna, and Romain Beckford. The female division will be no less fascinating, with two-time reigning world champion Sharika Jackson, Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, the Clayton Twins, Tia and Tina, Alana Reed, Akira Nugent, Rochelle Clayton, and Shanika Ricketts. The action will be sizzling.
And now, a special message from our Commissioner of Police, Dr. Kevin Blake.
In 2023, many of you told us how pleasantly surprised you were with our first Transformations Expo. Be prepared to be amazed at Transformations Expo 2.0, People, Quality and Technology, coming from 2 locations at the National Arena in Kingston and simultaneously at the Montego Bay Community College from Thursday, June 19 to Sunday, June 22. Bring your friends. Bring your family. I'm looking forward to meeting you.
"25 after 7, you're tuned in to Nationwide at 5. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis.
We're taking your calls. The number is 630-9371-24, 618-8255. Alicia, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Brooks, and good evening, Sanjay.
Alicia?
I'm fine, thank you. And I'm
Wonderful.
happy to call in on, because we're in a political atmosphere at this time. And based on the fact that we're in a political atmosphere this time, persons are just saying a lot of things regarding the MP of West Central. And I'm calling in to set things
West
very
Central...
clear based on her achievements.
West Central St. James.
Yes. That her achievements that she has done over the past 9 years, that she has been in West Central. Because, the other side is making it seem that Miss Marlene Malahoo Fort has not done anything, or she's neglecting the people of West Central, and that is not so. And the things that they need to speak about, because I myself have watched a clip on Instagram where Dr. Andre Harton has spoke about the community center. And when he speaks about West Central, and he's highlighting West Central in a negative light, and I'm not seeing where he's speaking about the good things that are being done in West Central.
What are some of those things?
So let me tell you. So the Wi-Fi in the same community center that Mr. Horton is saying that the community center is being neglected. Miss Marlene Malahoo Fort had the Wi-Fi installed in the community Granville Center there. She had upgrade done towards the community center. I'm very aware of that because I remember that very clearly.
Yes.
Right? She had computers. If you go on Mr. Horton's page, he's sitting in the community center with the computers that our MP donated in that same center. She went and she paid the light bill that was ran up to many thousands of dollars. She cleared it up. Right? Now, in the community alone, I remember as a child growing up in Granville, right, we had a lot of zinc fences. Miss Ford came in, and let me give her full credit. And not only as our sitting MP. But as an MP that came to West Central, she is the only MP that came and did anything, in my opinion, and in a lot of persons' opinion in West Central. She's the only one that came and did anything for West Central.
So you're thinking she should be safe at the next election?
Yes, she is going to be safe for the next election. Now, let me say something to you. When I'm growing up, my grandmother always say to me, never give away certain for uncertain. You cannot have a opposition that speaks so negative about the constitution, the entire constituency that he is running for, and he speaks so negative about it. We had the zinc fence removed and repaired by Miss Marlene Malahou Fort under the JSIF program. We had water tanks in Pit 4 that she came and she repaired it. That facilitates us, right? Not only Pit 4, but that tank facilitates a part of Gordon Crescent just the same way.
Yes.
We had major work, road works that has been done and is still going on. Let's speak about the Tucker Road through to Friendship there, right up to the Johns Hall district. Let us not put this aside. Let's speak about gutters, right? And go back into Granville. There was a bridge right down by Gut Bottom, right there, where the bridge was not good for many, many, many years. It was neglected. And bear in mind, I want to tell you, we have a sitting PMP councillor. I want him to come and list out his achievements for the many years that he has been here. Now, let's give credit to him going to funerals, signing papers. But is that alone that suffice the entire community? No, it doesn't. Right? And you cannot speak ill when it comes to this sitting MP, right? Let us speak about Guinea Tree Lane Road that was just fixed.
I can't allow you to use the entire show.
You can't allow me to list out all
everything that you think are going well in West Central St. James. But we hear you. We hear
this
you.
is my, my...
Well, I want to ask you, though, a political question, because that seat traditionally swings. Remember Clive Bullins, Sharon Fuchs, Abrahams, Marlene Malahou Fort now. How is it looking down there? JLP versus PNP? The PNP is confident. The JLP says that they're also confident.
When it comes to Marlene Malahou Fort, because her work speaks for itself. And remember, it swinged because, guess what? Nobody came in and did anything. So that is why it was a swing seat. So, you had this person came in, they did nothing. That person came in, they didn't anything. And even when it was swinging, we still had the same PMP councillor, right?
So it's not. So you don't think it's going to swing anymore?
No, I'm very confident in myself that Miss Malahou Fort will retain her seat. She is not just an MP for the JLP. She's an MP for the entire constituency. She's for the PMP. She's for the JLP. She's for the people. She does not see anybody political background. She's working for the people.
All right. Hear you. Thank you for the call. Faithful, good evening.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Sanjay.
Hello, Faithful.
I'm very fine, thanks. I love the guest that you have on this evening, Shane Darling.
Which one? Oh, Shane Darling.
I think they were very good.
Yes.
Shane Darling sounded to me like a person I could sit and listen to explain the Constitution and all these things. That's what he come over to me. In the House of Parliament, I heard. By the way, who's the highest paid person on the IC?
The highest paid person?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
You're not sure. Right. If you ask the question, if the Governor General, based on his role, is a conduit, and I heard Greg Christie when he went to House of Parliament say the role that he was playing was a conduit, but that seemed to be true.
Oh, you mean the role of the executive director?
Right.
The highest paid individual is actually the executive director.
Right. That's about it. And you get the highest paid to just be a conduit. Because based on what the Governor General said, what he wrote to the Parliament, and what West did say, it seemed to me like he was speaking the truth, that he was only to the country.
Look at it this way, Faithful. I understand what the framers of that legislation were trying to achieve, the matter of independence, which is important in matters such as these. However, I will agree with Shane Dallin that the executive director has and must have oversight for the entire commission. So therefore, to say that the executive director, in a sense, don't have any authority, so to speak, over some of the different departments, it raises a lot of questions for me. Why then do we really have an executive director? We could just have the different directors functioning and making the report to the Parliament.
And get someone to be a conduit. It don't look proper to me. And I think, in my mind, that place did a whole lot of fixing. And I listened to so many talk shows over the weekend. And in my mind, we were talking about moving the Auditor General from the IC. And I've not heard one person, I've not heard one person say, if you move it from there, what constitution would it breach, and how it's going to weaken it. I've not heard that before. Are they talking about what happened? I think they are prosecuting based on perception and based on feelings, because we put it in the mind of Jamaica, and I did in the mind of Jamaican, that all politicians are corrupt. So most of what takes place, the rules about say, like, take for me. I get the feeling that the report that they put out against the Prime Minister, I think they try to convict without evidence, and then open after that to find evidence. Because to me, it was so untidy that they could send something to the Parliament, and then they couldn't find nothing. Then have to send to the FID to further on investigation. In my mind, nothing can go so.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst now is just the worst thing, just feel untidy, and the IC is sent a foreigner now to see where they could find if Prime Minister have done anything wrong. They could not find nothing, but they could not be satisfied with that, because they have to find something wrong. And to me, it just seems so untidy, and nobody want to call out the IC to say. Nobody want to call the IC and they said they should present the report for which they have the report that independent audit are done. Nobody's not calling for that. But if it's a parliamentarian, they must be wrong. So we should call them out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that those have been chugged, man. I'm trying to figure if I'm thinking straight, but I'm just not getting it.
But let me flip something, because it is because of the independence of the directors why we saw the ruling with the Prime Minister from the Director of Corruption Prosecution. Right. What do you say about that?
Yes, but right, look at it this way. This is what I'm thinking. On your program the other day, we called it with you and Cliff. Some months ago, one of your guests was saying that we know how Jamaican run. When we talk about Chang get post, I think we alluded to the fact that could be some twisting of the arms. And think about the letter that the Bartlett and Johnson Smith write to them say they are uncomfortable the way that Ronnie Clarence was there.
Mm-hmm.
They dismiss it. Right. But they want to dismiss that because it's the IC and nobody want to take an independent look. But if it's a parliamentarian, they say it must be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So in point I'm making, I don't see we use an independent eye to judge everybody fairly as square across our board. We just judge person based on because we think they are parliamentarian, then they are police, they must be corrupt. And I don't like
all right, Faithful. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Ricardo, before we go to the next caller, your thoughts on that? Because the same independence that the Governor General somewhat has an issue with, we saw where attempts were made to change elements of that ruling. But because of the independence, it was submitted to the Parliament. So there are benefits to it, wouldn't you say?
Which ruling exactly?
No, as it relates to the Prime Minister. From the Director of Corruption Prosecution, Prince Kamiko.
Oh, indicating that she would not charge?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, based on that, remember, we're talking about the executive director having that oversight and having that power.
But I don't think the call for oversight is a call for interference with the statutory powers of the directors. I think that's settled. I think it's more just in terms of coordination to ensure that they don't operate in the kind of silos that they're operating in now. But I don't understand it to be a call for interference with the statutory powers. But we'll see. Errol?
Yeah.
No.
Good evening,
Errol.
Errol. Yes, sir.
What's up, brother?
Midday, welcome.
I'm serious today, but I walk on shake hand, but I look a place too hot, you know.
Oh, you was at East Central?
Oh, there, man. Tell them, man. When me MP come in, you know, man.
Oh.
But me the park outside, I get me. I come in there, but in there too close up, and I couldn't manage in the sun, and see no even in there.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
So, pull back out, you know.
Oh. You should have come link me, man.
I don't me say me the walk up here nowhere, I don't know, brother.
Yes.
The next time, man. I come all up there, they come tell me to keep a win ready for Father's Day, you know.
Aye.
Come on front there.
Oh, okay. Oh. I think I saw Cheryl last night. Who else I saw? Yeah, that's Cheryl and somebody else. Yeah.
But it's small little talk when me have you know, Ricardo. A black man time, you know. That's where I go right now, you know. Black man time.
Oh.
Yeah, man. When Tiago, them the pressure Tiago and PJ come fresh print, them to black man time, don't it?
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Well, right now, a black man time, you know, brother. And a black man, you know. So the black man we are work with. We not work with English. You get me?
I hear you, Errol.
Black man time straight. So, me a broadcast on the station. A black man time, want the whole Jamaica know. A black man time, no English.
All right, Errol, I hear you.
Now, the black man not the wrong about the English road back from Banana boy left way.
God have mercy.
Thank you for the call, Errol. Yes, Cheryl is reminding me. Yes, yeah, man, Cheryl. Me know say you. Me sit down have long conversation with Cheryl last night while me I drink my soup. Get some chicken foot soup. Stefan.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes. So I want to ask you guys a couple questions.
Sure.
What is the mischief that you believe the governing party is trying to correct by not having the Auditor General on the IC Integrity Commission?
You're gonna ask the questions in turn, or you want me to answer them in turn?
Sorry?
You want me to answer them one, or you're gonna ask them all together and then answer?
Yeah, man. Go ahead with that one first.
Okay. I don't know if I'd call it mischief. But there is a concern that has been raised that her constitutional powers are to be able to audit public accounts, processes, bodies, etc. And therefore, her presence on such a powerful body, which commands upwards of $1 billion of taxpayers' money, renders her unable to audit that body. And the Integrity Commission itself had acknowledged that it created a conflict of interest, and therefore they have been using outside auditors to audit the body. So the argument is we are, as I understand it, we are spending additional money to get outside auditors when the Constitution already vests that power in an office that is already funded, already staffed and protected. And when you have outside auditors, you sort of do that once a year, while the Auditor General is not constrained as to when, what time, what she wants to audit because of her constitutionally protected office. And I understand him to be saying, therefore, it creates a conflict. Dr. Peter Phillips had also raised the same issue. The Gleaner, until very recently, also found favor with that argument. But that is my understanding of the argument.
And if I could just add one thing to it, the Auditor General might be privy to sensitive deliberations or investigations at the Integrity Commission, and then later be asked to audit the same commission's finances or operation. And again, the conflict of interest may arise based on that.
Okay, I understand that clearly. As well as I also understand that the Auditor General also performs what are called performance audits.
Absolutely.
Right, so she's not limited to only financial audits.
Correct.
Okay, all right. The next question would be, what is the specific role of the Auditor General being one of the commissioners of the IC?
No, my brother, that is an excellent question. And it is a question I am trying my best to get an answer to. It is not clearly spelled out in the governing legislation as to what exactly the commissioners do, the 5 commissioners. I mean, I think broadly you can understand them to be functioning like a board, so setting general policy. But for example, they can't interfere with the statutory directors. They can't tell them to change something. So the question you ask about specifically the Auditor General, I am actually trying to get an answer to that. I have not yet found a specific role carved out for her on the Integrity Commission.
If I can add, my understanding, and I did some checks last week on it, one of the things that they had put forward as a reason for her being on the commission is not operational or investigative, as Ricardo just mentioned, but rather oversight oriented and to provide advice, which is why last week when Ricardo and I were talking about it, we had said there could be a similar arrangement like what happens with the FID, that if they need advice, they can refer the matter to the Auditor General and she can provide a ruling to the Integrity Commission. So she doesn't necessarily have to be a commissioner
on the board
to provide that, to provide that oversight and that advisory to the board.
Okay, you see the reason why I'm asking you see, I'm not a very bright person, and I'm just trying to understand. Because I hear a lot of persons jumping out and saying that the sky is falling, and it's a threat to democracy, and we're on the road to tyranny.
Yes.
And I'm saying, seriously? Are these people really serious? Just because we want to remove the Auditor General as a commissioner from the Integrity Commission? The next thing I would want to know is, they say, okay, some persons say, outside entities, private entities, can perform the audit on the IC.
Yes.
Okay. Is there an issue with that? Why would that be a problem? For the proponents who say
it's expensive.
The Auditor General, what is wrong with a private entity doing the auditing for the IC?
It seems to be working. But I think the cost is the immediate thing, that because you'd be paying.
Well, yeah, but
here's the issue.
You want something more than that, because come on, government wastes money every day.
Right, but I don't think that's an argument for wasting it, my brother. That's not an argument at all. Yeah, because remember, we're paying an entity to do the audits, but at the same time, we cannot have the very entity that is tasked with that responsibility to do the audits of the Integrity Commission. So if she's only there in an advisory capacity, remove her so she can conduct those audits, save us money. And if they need to get any information or advice from our office, then there's simply a bilateral arrangement that they can put in place.
Okay. I agree with that. And also, we could have, I heard someone say that instead of the Auditor General, we could probably have the Accountant General being on the board. And I mean,
I didn't hear that one.
Issue with that. Sorry?
Oh, that came out of the Parliament?
I don't remember. I don't think it was the Parliament. I think I heard someone say that instead of the Auditor General, you could have the Accountant General, and then the Auditor General will be able to perform in a substantive role.
Okay.
But why? But why do we need the Accountant General?
I suppose you want to maintain 5 commissioners. I'm not really sure.
Well, I'm also not sure. I'm also not sure we have 5, as opposed to 3 or 9 or 10. I don't know.
But that's just what I wanted, because I hear a lot of these persons, and I mean persons who are, who you think are persons with, integrity, and persons who are bright, but then persons behaving as if the sky is falling. But that's just what I wanted to confirm. Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right. So I'm looking at the act, and the only commissioner that I see having an actual role or is the chairman. And it really just says that he shall chair the commission. Chair meetings of the commission.
Oh, dear Jesus.
And that you need a quorum of 3 to make decisions. And all decisions shall be decided by a majority voting thereon. And in the event of equality of vote, the chairman shall have a presiding or casting vote. So it's really just a chairman that they seem to be giving specific responsibilities here.
Yeah.
They tell you who should be on it. They tell you how they should be appointed. But it doesn't spell out anything else beyond that they would need to do it. And then it moves on to the appointment of the executive director. So it tells you that they can delegate their powers to the executive director. But what those powers are...
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that. And if anybody can find it for me, I'd welcome that, because I've been trying to educate myself on that. Who's next? Who done it?
Yeah, good night.
Good night.
Mr. Brooks and Sanjay.
Good night.
How you do?
Look up on yourself. I'm giving thanks, I love my challenges, but boy, I'm giving thanks,
All right.
Sanjay, I agree with your last comment regarding the this imbroglio involving the...
Speak up, who done it? Not hearing you clearly.
Involving the Attorney General. I don't think she should be sitting on any board, because she is the final auditor of these entities, and therefore it's untenable for her to be on any board. And then she, in other words, what Mr. Warmington is saying, he has a strong point. She's also going to be the final auditor regarding the IC if they have to do a audit. And when was the last time you heard of any audit being done for the IC, Mr. Brooks?
They have an audit every year because they submit it in their annual report. They submit the report with the annual report. It's contained in the annual report. So I'm imagining it happens once a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One other thing I really call about is, when last you hear anything from the Jamaica Council of Churches?
I saw them release a statement last week, and they were concerned about issues relating to the Integrity Commission and the recommendations coming out of the Parliament. I think that's what I saw, yes.
And that's recently, but notwithstanding, a lot of things has been happening, and they were totally silent. And when I bring them up now, Ricardo Sanjay, is that we know that we're a church sister by the name of Miss Lana Robertson, a.k.a. Nikki, was abducted, and we can figure that she we can say she's dead. But we hope that she's still alive. And the Jamaica Council of Churches has not said a word. Their silence is unbelievable. But they find time to get into IC argument and all of those things concerning the Auditor General. What's your take on it, Ricardo?
I mean, I'm always wary of the argument that because a group hasn't commented on every single thing, then they can't comment on a specific thing. I'm always wary of that argument. But I think the broader point you're trying to make is that you would expect the church to be speaking out more about moral issues. right? Alongside the governance issues, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, indeed.
Yes,
Indeed,
and I can
because
accept
we
that. Yes.
We won't hear a word from them in quite some while. No. And for them to just pop out of the blue and to just,
It's always a challenge, when some of these organizations, they comment on politically charged matters, because you will have individuals from whatever side of the political fence that will come to ask, where were they on this particular matter? And sometimes it's good for them to just stay out of the fray. But at the same time, a group, such a powerful group like the Churches Association, they have to comment on some of these matters. But they can't comment on everything, does Ricardo?
My final one before I go on, maybe some of the way want to call. Regarding this solidarity program, you guys understand anything about it?
That's a solidarity program with the $20,000. $20,000? Is that the one?
Yeah, I heard something akin to that. But I really like Senator Marlon Morgan to come and, enlighten us a little bit more about it. Because what I know of the solidarity program, you guys might not aware of it, but it was introduced and established by our former Prime Minister, Edward Chiaga. And the solidarity program was of such where you could easily see the little handcap. In other words, it was catering to, I believe, the...
Yes, yeah, man. The Prime Minister did outline. The Prime Minister did outline why he chose the name and why he brought it back. But I can get the information for you. But I don't think it's launched yet. But
it needs to properly launch so that there's clarity and there's no ambiguity and persons can really know exactly what it is all about.
All right.
So we take care of a good night.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Michael?
Yes, Sanjay Ricardo. Good night, man. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
All is well?
Yes, man.
Yes.
Well, good thanks for life, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, what I want to say, Sanjay and Ricardo, with the PMP thing, she's like the leader of the PMP. She's like when you go on the Rasta man or on the stage, he chat a lot of rubbish. It seems like he drinks something before he go on the stage. He just mix up, keep on chatting rubbish. You know what I mean?
Why you say that?
He talk nothing with sense, man. Why don't he talk? What's he going to do for Jamaica to make Jamaica a better place? I don't know. He can't talk. Because he have nothing to talk. Because the Prime Minister is done doing what the right thing, what he's supposed to do. So so the PNP have nothing to talk about. You know what I noticed in the PNP? They're just full of propaganda. Full of propaganda. They have nothing to talk about. Nothing.
All right, Michael. Out of time. Here you go. Yeah. That's all the time we have. Dana Davey, thank you so much. Andrew Glenn Anderson, appreciate it, bro. My colleagues in the newsroom, the very best in the business, led by our editor, Cara Powell. To all our sponsors, contributors, and you, our valued listeners. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis, wishing for you a wonderful evening.
Good evening.
In Jamaica, your rights are